All right, I think we're back. Sorry, let's see. Wait a few minutes for people to switch over to the live stream here. I see Fook's back. Um, Zachary says, "Yeah, the timing of that was honestly hilarious." Yeah, so I'm glad I warned you guys. Like that's all you say, Zachary. Yeah, because I didn't expect it to happen that fast. But fingers crossed we have better luck from here on out. We'll see. But hopefully everyone finds the new stream here. Hopefully it wasn't hard for you guys to figure that out. I'm not sure if YouTube just pushed a new notification, you guys, or what. But so anyway, yes, for anyone watching this after it was streamed, we had a power outage there. And back here after a very shortest live stream ever, about 5 minutes or so. It was weird though because it was telling me that it was still working. Just I had no video, but everything else, like this, the comments were still coming in and everything else. So anyway, but it looks like we got everyone joining back in here. So welcome back, everyone. And so sorry, I missed all the comments that I was going to answer there initially. So feel free to repost whatever you wanted to say there whenever you were saying hello initially. But all right, so V. Mitchell says, good thing I grabbed another Yingling out of the fridge. Just glad you stuck with me here. And we can hopefully proceed. Fingers crossed, knocking all the wood. And thanks for the heads up about the notifications, Zachary. I'm glad that YouTube is working properly, at least now. And let me see. So Jazz says, have you been to the Flight 93 Memorial about 90 minutes away from Pittsburgh? I think I was there a long time ago, like when they first put it up, but I haven't been there since. I drive past it a lot on my turnpike adventures, going back and forth to Hershey and stuff like that, but haven't been there in a long time. But yeah, it's not too far away. And Trucking Car Guy says, I'd toast, but I don't have anything yet, just moved. Well, congrats on the move. That's always exciting. Hopefully it was a good move and, it was an upgrade, hopefully, or at least a sideways move, something like that. But congrats on the move. And Jorge says, I feel like Doug DeMuro's out there with a plug in his hand cackling. That's a good one. Just the mental picture of that is entertaining. So thanks, Jorge, and cheers. I'm on some coffee tonight because it's been an action-packed weekend. Lots of fun. Went to a party last night and had some friends over here today. Had a little bonfire and all that. Hope you guys are all having a good Memorial weekend here as well. And Dave says hi from Westchester, PA. Hope you guys don't have too bad of storms over there. And let me see. TRCR said, Koenigsegg designer Sasha designed a new brand called Nilu 27. Interesting. I hadn't heard about that. That's cool. Yeah, I wonder. I always wonder whenever I see all these like new supercars coming out, like especially these small new brands, like how many people are out there that want stuff like that isn't an established brand, that doesn't have established prestige, established support, all that, spending tons of money on a brand new hypercar with basically no support behind it just seems like a scary idea, even if you have money to burn. But I guess, someone goes for it. So let me see. The Good Stick says, do you think hydrogen would be a better application for sports cars than electricity? I don't think so. Toyota's trying. They have a race car, Corolla right now in Japan that's running on burning hydrogen. And it's cool. Just the problem is the tank takes up the entire back seat and the entire hatch area. So hydrogen's going to have to get way, way more efficient from a burning standpoint for it to ever make sense, at least as far as smaller vehicles are concerned. That's going to be the holdup. And I mean, they'd have to really have some innovative stuff as far as either how they store the hydrogen, how they burn it. But I think trying to burn it with the old tech of the current motors is just maybe the wrong way to go about it. Maybe there needs to be a new way to burn it. If you do want to use that kind of a propulsion method, because I mean, you even look at like the Model T, right? Like the first like mass produced vehicle, like there was no issues with like fuel there, like it was like you had a gas tank. And I mean, even I think by modern standards, I think Model Ts get like decent fuel economy. I think it's at least over 20. So I feel like even from the invention of the automobile, we've had, like fuel economy has evolved and progressed, but it hasn't been as huge of a leap as like going from a hydrogen vehicle that takes up entire back seat with a tank in the entire hatch area to now a smaller tank. There hasn't been that kind of an evolution from a combustion standpoint, I don't think. So that would be the big hurdle. I mean, it sounds cool because I mean, it seems like it's basically like the same kind of sound and all that. And hydrogen is, of course, plentiful from a periodic table standpoint. Obviously, getting hydrogen to that form is still very energy intensive and expensive, and not really that green, honestly, with the way hydrogen is right now. So I mean, if that evolves, and I think we're seeing some of that in the commercial sector, and there's other potential uses for hydrogen. But most of the efficient uses of it are then using it to make electricity. Electricity is just, it's easier to store, it's easier to transmit. It kind of, I think, in a lot of ways, this is why a lot of most people are going towards the electric thing, because even if like we have fusion technology or any of these crazy far out things that ever happen, like it's all about generating electricity. So it seems like all roads are pointing to, regardless of how you make it, you get to electricity basically. And it's something we all have right in our houses. There's no refueling issues really, again, aside from the fast charging and stuff like that. But with hydrogen, like you have the same issue as gas, except you have like 50 fueling stations in the country right now or something. It's just like, and there's no investment there. So I mean, it's kind of amazing people are even talking about hydrogen still, because it's just like, maybe it'll be the future in 50 years. Maybe that'll be the thing, that if my daughter reviews cars, she'll be covering, whenever she's my age or something. I think it's that far out. I really don't think there is anything near term, unless something crazy happens or we have some kind of insane scientific breakthrough or something. Hydrogen is a fun thing to like think about, just as an alternative to electricity, and it's something a lot of people want to cling on to who just don't like the electric thing for whatever reason. But like I've really been excited about hydrogen in a lot of ways. It just seems like the support isn't there. Whenever one thing supports it, then the other thing drops out. And I was even talking to, I think like Shell, I was talking to them whenever I was on a Shell event recently, and they were even saying like, like they put up a bunch of these fueling stations, and they supposedly had promises from car companies there would be more hydrogen cars coming. And like Honda's now just doing like this, plug-in hydrogen CRV and stuff like that. But it was like the cars didn't come, so that was part of why Shell like felt like there wasn't enough demand there. But then like the car companies are like, well, we're not going to engineer an entire car whenever you have 50 fueling stations in the country or whatever. So it's this chicken and the egg thing that's really tough. And I think electric cars are able to overcome that, because you always had electric in your home to provide that initial like, okay, well, we can at least handle fueling it ourselves at our house. And then it was just the challenges of mass adoption. But like, it's like hydrogen can't even get off the ground because you have this constant chicken and egg scenario playing out, and neither side wants to get burned. And so I really don't think it's going to go anywhere. I'd love to be wrong. I welcome any other alternatives that get us in the right direction, as far as getting emissions down and stuff like that. But I just, to me, don't see it being anything realistic. So maybe a little more long-winded than you're looking for, but that's my thoughts on that. Two, thanks for joining in. Thank you for the first super chat of the night here. He says, yes, I picked the basement lock, electric powered handcuffs. My ass. Well, thanks for joining us too. It's been a couple of weeks. Happy to see you back. Hope all is good with you, man. And thanks so much for joining in for the super chat there. And let me see. So B Mitchell says that's it. He scorched off the beard in the bonfire. That was it. I got a little too close and boom, went up in flames. Now, it's bonfires are fun, but yeah, no, just couldn't take the beard, unfortunately. Fuchs says we had a tornado last week, missed our area by a few miles. Hope your weather is better, man. Glad you turned out okay with that one. Yeah, I've been hearing about tornadoes all around the country here. It seems like the extreme weather that usually, like, I feel like we used to get it like in June more so. It's starting a little bit early here. And I mean, we just like, before I even went on the live stream here, like it was intense. Like an hour ago, they said there were like winds up to like 60 miles per hour here. And like, I felt like I was in like, looking at like a hurricane footage thing from Florida or something. Obviously, there are much higher winds there. Not trying to do a false comparison there, but it was just like seeing like these like walls of water like blowing down the street and stuff. It's like, man, like I can't tell you the last time we've seen that here in Pittsburgh. Like that was some pretty intense rain there. So weather just keeps getting crazier and crazier everywhere, unfortunately. And let me see. Jordan says Tom bailed because he predicts things going south for Dodge. Recent EV conversations. You mean you're talking about Tim Kaniskis retiring? I'm assuming. I don't think so. 'Cause, I mean, he was excited about it. He set us up, for this new generation of Charger here, and I truly believe what he said. I don't think it's just a marketing line that performance made them do it. It's electric cars are faster in a drag race. They're about drag racing, so to me, like it all holds water. It totally checks out to me. And so I'm not sure why he retired. I'm curious to find out. I do know a few people that are like, pretty close to him. So I'm hoping to maybe get some more info, whether or not I'm able to repeat any of what I, find out. I don't know, but I'm hoping, maybe on next press trip here to maybe do a little talking, and because I'm just curious. I mean, it's none of my business, but I mean, he seemed like he was doing great. And, yeah, I'm just, and especially it's like not like he even like changed to another company or something. So I don't think he was dissatisfied with Dodge, because I feel like if he was, he would have just could have probably worked at another company. But the fact that he just retired makes me think that maybe it's just, life's short. Go enjoy it and don't be, locked into an office if, you don't have to be, I guess, I mean, I don't blame him. There's many days where I, dream about just, riding off into the sunset with a, lottery win or something, just playing with cars and having fun and not having the pressures of YouTube, but, yeah, so I don't know what the deal was, but thank you for another super chat. He says, yeah, small boutique car companies suck except for GR and Maran Motors Company. Am I right, Peter? Yeah, Maran Motors would be fun. I don't think that'll ever happen, but yeah, GR, I guess you can call it GR, I guess, a boutique thing, but it's, since it's under Toyota, I feel like that's more than boutique. And Luke says, Matt, who is it behind you? Thanks for the super chat, Luke. If you're talking about that is Batman. There we go. As you can see, kind of a fan. So I think that's what you're referring to. It's from an old comic cover. Thanks again. Z2 says it's Doug. And Jordan, thank you for a super chat as well. He says, chat is working, but wanted to know Hornet EV. I don't think Hornet EV is ever going to happen for a while, at least. I mean, I guess they have tech in Europe. They could bring some kind of a Hornet electric thing over. Right now, just trying to get the regular Hornets to sell, I think, is the harder thing. And, with the headwind currently against, EVs for this current model year, I don't think it's going to last very long. But for right now, I think that they're probably not, looking to electrify the Hornet any more than the RT version, which also doesn't seem to be selling super hotly. So if they can't get the gas or the plug-in hybrid version to sell very well, an EV version would probably just make it even harder. But anyway, thanks, Jordan, for the super chat. And yeah, happy that Chad was able to forward you on his question there. And Ryan Wild, thank you so much for a super chat as well. He says, so now that we know the GMC Sierra 1500 EV is going to be a 1 cent shy of 100K, how do you feel about political pundits saying admins in office have control over manufacturing EV and ICE pricing? I'm not sure what you're referring to as far as that goes. You mean Ford CEO saying, about his one weird quote I was talking about in the weekly update was he was saying they'll continue to make V8s as long as God and the politicians will let them. If that's kind of what you're referring to there, as far as that goes, as far as pricing, the price, the pricing is just the pricing. I mean, that battery pack is 24 module. It's double stacked. It's enormous. I don't even know how much that battery pack costs. But I mean, you hear about the high prices of regular battery packs and then double it basically. I mean, it's 205 kilowatts. I mean, a 100 kilowatt pack is already like huge, and most vehicles go pretty far on that. And they double that to do that giant range in these hugely inefficient vehicles. Yeah, so it's going to be, you're paying for a battery pack. That's kind of what I said in the Silverado video was like, it's almost like the same mindset of, when you're in a Mustang or you're in any kind of sports car, really, you're paying for the performance. You're not necessarily paying for the interior. You're not paying for, luxury stuff and all that. You're paying for the speed, like Challenger, Charger, stuff like that. It's the same deal, just you're paying for the electric thing, but it's that same kind of price premium. And so that's why I think Chevy Chevy thinks they can get away with, and a plastic covered interior and all that for $95,000 because it's, you're paying for that electric thing, and that's the premium there instead. So, I mean, but as far as there's no, there's only so much you can do pricing wise. You can't sell them at that much of a loss, at least not for very long if you're trying to actually be profitable and stuff. So, it sucks that the pricing is the way it is, but I think the bottom line, and this is what a lot of car company executives have talked about, is they want to get the battery packs smaller. They don't want to make them bigger. They want to make them more efficient, make the cars more efficient, but really it's just advancing those battery packs to get to a better place where you don't need to have a gigantic pack. This is the goal of the solid state stuff, but even some of these other like mixed chemistry batteries and stuff like that, like that our Next Energy company took a BMW iX and put basically a actual part of a battery that is the kind that powers the vehicle, and then another part of the battery that's more power dense, that's like a storage range extender battery thing, and then that can convert in real time in the battery pack to the actual drive part of the battery and dole out that extra power as needed. And they got over 600 miles of range out of a BMW iX. So there's those types of things of okay, instead of doubling the pack, why don't we be smart about how we do this? And instead, just try and be more efficient. Obviously, I think that the tech isn't fully there for that to make mass production. That's why we don't have 600-mile EVs yet. I think we'll have them in about 2 years or so. But, I think that's, just Chevy was working with what the tech they had at the time. But I think you're going to see that stuff get better really, really quick. And it's going to be so funny, I think even in 5 or 10 years, seeing how this stuff has advanced so far. And it'll be like looking at a Windows 95 computer these days and being man, look at how slow and how inefficient that was. And now we got, batteries the size of a smartphone that power a car for 1,000 miles or whatever. I mean, I don't know if we'll get that extreme with the efficiency, but, I think there's a lot of fast advancements already happening. So I think that's the goal. And then once those packs are smaller, then you bring that price down and then you get that cost parity. I think most of the European companies are planning for cost parity in the late 2020s. Hopefully, I think Volkswagen and them are saying of gas and EV, bringing that battery pack down to a lower price point there. But Jordan, thank you for another super chat as well. It says Hummer EV now, hit or miss, no updates lately. I will be getting the SUV version here at some point this summer, I think, to test for a week. I mean, it's not going to be any different than the truck, really, aside from being slightly slower. But yeah, I mean, I think Hummer EV, it's still just trying to work through the people who want them, because they still have, I believe, a wait list for those, and they're still selling. They're starting to finally sell a little bit more of them because they're able to build them a little more now. They've kind of worked out a lot of the Ultium bottlenecks, I think. And so, yeah, I don't know. It was never supposed to be a mass market vehicle, so I don't think they really care too much about the sales success of it. It's more of a halo model, statement piece kind of thing. But I still think it did what they wanted it to do, which was kind of, make EVs cool. Same thing, same goal as the Silverado EV of okay, the people that are going to resist EVs the most, let's tempt them into an EV by giving them 1,000 horsepower, a 9,000-pound behemoth that's, crazy looking, that has the off-road capability. You kind of get some of those TRX and Raptor owners be and I think, I don't know why GM wanted to try and persuade that group of people, which is a very hard sell, but I think that was the goal of Hummer, was just, change perception on EVs. And I think that they kind of achieved that to a certain extent. But again, you still have a lot of people that no matter how cool it is, it could fly to the moon and back, and people would just be like, well, I don't like it because it's electric. So, there's going to be some of that stuff no matter what. And that's why I don't know why GM, embarked on this endeavor instead of appealing to the actual people that are interested in this stuff, but it is what it is. More variety, something for everyone, I guess. But Jorge, thank you for a super chat as well. It says, here's to there never being a 4-door battery electric Mustang. Wait, what? Right? I'm glad that I wasn't the only one who thought that was insane whenever he said that. It's yeah, Jim Farley, I don't know. I mean, I think that interview was over in the UK, so maybe they were just, kicking back a few pints and having a good time, and I don't know what nonsense he was talking about there. But yep, I'm like, Jim, it's in my garage, man. It's right there. He went so far as to say two-row SUV, so specific, and said it twice, which is why there was a couple of commenters being he 100% was trolling. And I have to believe, I mean, he can't be that. Yeah, he must have been screwing with people and just like Autocar didn't get the joke and just published it as a serious story. I don't know. But yeah, it's very, very funny, that one. Thank you, Jorge, for the super chat. And let me see, getting back to the member questions here. So Raphael says, Wednesday, the dealership offered me 30 grand for my $32,000 4-year-old Camry. Now that's resale value. That is. Congrats. I'm not sure if you decided to take it or not, but that's a solid offer. Congrats on that. And Austin said, hey, Matt, finally got the Abarth fixed. Needed new front rotors, pads. Selling dealers paying for everything but the new brake pad cost after arguing with my mechanic. So not too bad. Man, well, hopefully, did they figure out the engine after the overfill you talked about I think it was last week? Hopefully the engine's okay and all that. Hopefully you're enjoying the car at this point. And it's not just been sitting in the shop ever since you bought it, but hopefully things are looking up for you there. And Jeremy says, hey, Matt, do you think the next gen 86 will use the 1.6T from the GR Yaris and Corolla? I think there's a decent chance whether it's that one or an evolution of that. But I'm inclined to think they'll probably go turbo with the next generation just because that's what everyone's been wanting. And again, they got the motor on the shelf versus doing some high revving naturally aspirated thing. I mean, it's Toyota. They're cool enough that they could just, Akio Toyota could just push through a new high revving, screaming, naturally aspirated motor. But I'm thinking they may just, put in that 1.6T. If the 86 even comes back, I mean, we've heard a lot of rumors about it, but in these times, I don't think I would take a next gen 86 as a given. I wouldn't take that as, coming for sure. I'd love to see it, obviously. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the future of that car holds. I'm hoping all the rumors are right and there is something in the works. And, Toyota seems like, again, they're still on this path of everything being exciting and, sporty. So I hope that there is something around the corner, but I'm not assuming that. Same thing with new Supra. We're hearing about this one going away. Maybe it returns, maybe it doesn't. Maybe they've heard all the people giving them crap about the partnerships and the only non-partnership car they have is GR Corolla. Maybe they just lean into GR Corolla and don't bother with the other stuff. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I hope this fun GR stuff doesn't end, but I know there was talks recently. I guess this past week, there's an interview with someone from GR who was basically saying, we figured maybe by this point in time, we should have an SUV GR. And, I think it was the publication was saying it's surprising that it took them this long to be like, we should make a performance SUV because everyone else has been doing that for years. So, maybe instead of Supra and 86, we get a GR, RAV4, GR Crown Signia or something. I don't even know, but, that could be what's coming next. So I wouldn't, again, especially if you love the current stuff, support it, send the message now. You can always trade up and maybe you'll have as good of luck there as Raphael with a resale. Let me see. So Mike says R&D isn't really going towards hydrogen, neither is infrastructure investment. Yeah, that's the biggest problem. MDKN says, there you are. Yeah, thanks. Happy you're able to find the live stream here. Hopefully everyone was able to hop over to the new one. And let me see. Austin says, Matt is going to Force 2 to make hydrogen fuel in the basement. There we go. Yeah, maybe we have room for a couple of tanks. You can homebrew some hydrogen for us too. That'll be the next assignment for the basement. Linda says, I'm not excited about hydrogen, but my husband is a fan. There's a lot of people. Like I said, I'm really surprised just how many people are even aware that hydrogen is a thing. I'm not sure how it got publicized so much, to be completely honest. I mean, obviously we're car people and we stay up on a lot of this stuff, but it seems like I hear about it from like people who aren't car people as well. And I'm like, wow, like I didn't think that this many people were aware of hydrogen was a thing for cars. And a good stick says, with the new Civic Hybrid being so good, Toyota should put more power in the Corolla Hybrid as it's a direct competitor. Yeah, I agree. So I thought that they're going to do Corolla with a Prius motor, but I think they backtracked and ended up, doing a little bit less there. But I agree. It would be cool to see something a little punchier, and I feel like it doesn't take a whole lot of convincing on to Toyota to be like, hey, like someone's got a faster hybrid, and that would hopefully give them enough incentive. But I think that Toyota currently would probably just point people to Prius. You get 196 horsepower with the all-wheel drive version. That's 4 horsepower away from Civic. So I think, especially if you're going for something sporty, I know that obviously Corolla and Civic are the main competitors, but I think Prius kind of plays in that area. And Prius is going to be a little more expensive, but we'll see it because we don't have pricing for a Civic Hybrid yet, but I'm guessing it's not going to be cheap. I'm assuming, especially since it's only on those top 2 trims. It's probably not going to cross over to Integra pricing. I would hope, but it might. I could see it being low 30s up into mid 30s, honestly. Because where does Accord? I don't remember where Accord hybrid. I think those max out around 40, if I remember correctly. So I don't know, but it's probably not going to be cheap. It's going to probably be more than Corolla. So I think they have that, cheaper, and you have Prius if you want to spend something in the 30s. So I'm guessing that would be their response, but I don't know. It would be great to see. Again, more powerful stuff's always good. Zachary says he's fixed a few scorched beards. Man, well, that's impressive. I'd like to see that. Would be a good YouTube channel, like someone just repairing hair damage in general, like people coming in with some type of mishaps or something like that, and having it all fixed up. That'd be funny. Let me see. So, sorry, I missed the other super chat there, Jordan. Thank you for that super chat. He says, after the SUV craze is over, what's next? Wagons? Maybe. We will see. I know in Europe, they were just saying this past week how they were delaying ID7 here in the States for Volkswagen because there's so much demand in Europe. But they said particularly because when they debuted the Tourer version, the wagon of the ID7, there was a ton of demand for that one. So maybe Europe's leading the charge of, they've always been more supportive of wagons than we have. Arguably, I guess maybe Americans are more supportive in the 70s or something. But, since then, the SUVs have been an American thing more so. Obviously, there's a lot of those in Europe too. But, with wagons being popular over there, maybe they will, prop up some wagon demand enough to bring some more over here to the States. We'll have to see. Raphael, thank you for a super chat as well. He says there's no avoiding it. Things will move to EVs, so rush out and buy a Jaguar F-Type while you can. That sound absolutely fully endorse that. Anyone that can afford an F-Type and is brave with their either purchase of an extended warranty or just brave with not having the most reliable vehicle. I think F-Types have been fairly solid. I was honestly really impressed. If you guys watched the Grand Tour when they were beating on that F-Type, that poor F-Type that got just completely messed up. The Grand Tour was almost painful to watch that episode because they're like, I would love to have all 3 of those cars that they had in that Grand Tour episode, and I'd baby them, such amazing cars, and they're just driving through the desert. It was super cool to see what those things were doing with slight off-road modifications, but yeah, those F-Types sound fantastic, 100%. I was just thinking about the F-Type today and being like, man, I'm really bummed I didn't get to experience F-Type ownership, because now, I need a back seat, with our daughter. I would never buy a car without a back seat, at least not for a long time, or unless I had several cars, but yeah, it would have been great to own an F-Type. Maybe someday I'll be able to justify it, but it's going to be a long time from now. There'll be antiques by the time I ever get around to it, probably. Let me see, getting back to the member questions here. Where was I? I lost my place there. Man, it goes all over the place. Okay, there we go. I found it. So MD Can says, I desperately need to send you the absolutely loud backfire my Kona made last night at a standstill. It was loud as a gunshot. That's impressive. And I think yours is stock, right, MD? I'm not sure, but that's if it's a stock. I think I was able to get the Elantra to do a few loud pops randomly, but yeah, it's always fun. And let me see. Dave says, which new muscle car would you buy right now? Me, Plum Crazy, Manual Scat Pack, Challenger. I guess, yeah, if you can hunt down a Challenger still. I'm not sure how many of those are on lots at this point. But yeah, if they're still out there, that's definitely a fun pick for sure. If it had to be a new one, I don't know. I mean, I probably the new Mustang, even though I'm not crazy about it, I would just never, I wouldn't buy a new one. I'd just go buy a Bullet again. That's all to me. That's like the perfect muscle car. And I mean, S550s are still just such a better bargain than S650. But I do really love the Mustang. Still something I'd probably stick to the Mustang if I was shopping. And let me see. Jay says, finally back on. Wi-Fi trouble on my end as well. Hope you and your family are doing well and in good health, Matt. Thank you, Jay. We are. Hope you're all doing well too. And Zachary says, any update on the new merch store? Yeah, it just I've been so busy the past couple of weeks. Been doing a lot more late nights than I like to do typically, and that's just to keep up with like the usual upload schedules because I've been doing so much traveling and being doubled up. I'm doubled up on press cars up through July at this point. Probably will continue even longer after that, and that's always like a lot of extra work too because it's enough to just have one car I got to go out and drive and do a video on and all that. But whenever it's two plus all the editing stuff, it's a lot. It's good because I got a nice long backlog. I literally have stuff I've already filmed that I won't be posting until August, I think, at this point. So I got like the whole summer already like in the can essentially. I mean, there's a few I still have to film, but like there's a lot of cool stuff. I'm filming a lot, but it's just a lot of just trying to keep up and not get behind the ball too much here. I'm doing another trip next week, another one the week after that. So like that kind of stuff just kind of really eats into my editing time a good bit. So merch store is I have like an account set up with the new merch store. So it's like switched over, but I don't have products yet. So I just need to like spend the time to like populate the store with a bunch of products and figure out. I'm going to order some samples to make sure everything's actually good and not just take their word for it. So there's going to be a little bit of time to do all that. And then once as the quality checks out and everything is good, then I will post it. So I'm hoping sometime here this summer to have it up. In the meantime, the other one is still available. There's only a few products I think on there. And I mean, that stuff's still fine. It's just, I'm hoping to kind of improve the quality, improve the options. There's a lot more product options because like a lot of people did want hats and I wasn't able to do the embroidery properly with the current logo. I was able to do the Super Dorks Fan logo. That's why I have that offered, but I wasn't able to do it for the new one. So I want to do hopefully a embroidered hat and, a few other nicer things. Want to do, just a bunch of stuff and have it basically. So anything you want to have to, support the channel or whatever, hopefully I'll be able to get it on just about anything. And I'd like to do someday, some more fun like t-shirt ideas that aren't just the brand name, but all in time. Hopefully time is just the thing I just do not have. I don't know how my life got so crazy to this point where like zero free time, zero time to like do anything really. It's crazy. Like so many people are like, even just the idea of being bored. Like I'm jealous of people who have the luxury of being bored. I haven't been bored in years. Like honest to God, it's insane. So anyway, another long-winded answer, but yes, I'm working on the merch store, hoping to have it done at some point here relatively soon. But I got so many things I gotta do. And let me see. Raphael says, "Woohoo! I finally made one after a while. I missed a few good ones listening to them later." Well, thanks for listening to them even after the fact, but glad you're able to join our feed. Thanks for tuning in. Jay says, "Do you think 34 grand for a 2019 Civic Type R with 40,000 miles is a good deal? Currently running the market to sell mine. Very unfortunate. Sorry you have to sell yours. That obviously, as you know, I can very much relate. I don't know pricing on those enough to tell you what a good price is. I just look at comps and see what else is out there that's similar condition and mileage and see what they're going for. That's kind of how I figured out how much I was hoping for the Bullet, whenever I was talking about getting rid of that and I'm shopping that around a little bit, so I just go for that, and hopefully, there's a healthy market out there for those. I saw John Cena just upgrade. He just got rid of his FK8 and went to the new one there. Although I'm sad he went for white. He had the Boost Blue, and then he switched to white. I was hoping to just get Boost Blue, but it was so casual. I saw he posted on Threads about it. He was like, "Yeah, just like went in for an oil change." saw the new one in the showroom there and just really fell in love and swapped it over right there. Like, everyone else has been pulling their hair out about ADMs and about trying to find one. It's so hard to get a Type R, and past 2 years or whatever, it's like been this giant drama for so many people. And he's just like, oh, it's just sitting there in the showroom while I'm getting my oil change, which also is amazing that like he takes his own, that he owns a Civic Type R, takes it in for service. Like, imagine just having John Cena sitting there, like waiting for his oil change to be done. It's just, it's really cool. I mean, I don't know the guy, or anything, so I can't vouch for everything about him because I don't know. But at least for me, that that earns a lot of brownie points with me if you're that down to earth when you're a celebrity like that. So it's really cool. But anyway, so he is also just traded his in, and for him it's an upgrade there. But yeah, that was just kind of funny to see. And yeah, it's so very rare you see like people, especially people that have that much money, just be like, oh yeah, like I like Civic Type R, like that's good enough for me. I think that says a lot about a person. But Hyper Shadow says, Floor CEO take 5 shots, a Sedan or EV Mustangs. Ha, never heard of her. In my garage. Yep, that's it. Yeah, I don't know what that's about. I'm hoping there's somebody does a follow-up interview and tries to, get some clarification there from him. Because I mean, honestly, like again, electric is eventually going to be, again, I don't think that gas stuff's going to go away for a long time, but at some point it will. And I don't want Mustang to die just because it has to go electric, in some distant future. So I hope, I don't think Jim Farley's going to be CEO for another, 15 years, but I hope that whoever takes over doesn't share that same passion and is able to evolve with the times and keep Mustang alive. But we will see. And Good Success, thoughts on Hybrid Max Camry being the performance model? I mean, that's totally possible. I think there's actually a pretty good chance of that. It'd be either that or probably like a Prime kind of thing would be my guess, unless they want to go GR Corolla with it and put that motor in. I think that could also be a possibility, but I don't know. We will see what they do. I can say in Crown, obviously they didn't set that up to be sporty really, but that powertrain, it really comes down to how they tune it. Because in some stuff that I've tested in the Crown, it's not that exciting. It's punchy and fast, I guess, but it doesn't feel crazy. But then in other things, like in Grand Highlander, it like is super powerful and exciting. So it seems like it would be the opposite, but it's not, at least in my experience. So we will see what they end up doing. But I think it'd be cool. I'm always for more power in anything, pretty much. And sorry, I missed a couple of super chats here. Jordan, thank you for your super chat and for gifting a membership there. Really appreciate it. He says 2025 Kia EV3 side profile, similar to a BMW ID3. BMW ID3. I'm not sure. You mean Volkswagen ID3, maybe, right? I don't know. I think that to me, the EV3 seems fairly unique for the side profile from what I remember. I don't know. I think it's a good looking vehicle. It's just, again, they dropped the ball on the charging speed, I think. But other than that, I think it's a pretty nice look. And thank you so much for a super chat as well. It says, I LS swapped my E30. What's your take on LS swap cars? I think they're cool. And obviously when it comes to mods too, like obviously there's stuff that I don't love and it's not what I would do, but the fact that people, care about their vehicle and put all the blood, sweat, and tears into, doing these things, I think is really cool. And LS Swap D30, I think is cool. If that's, what you wanted out of the car, obviously you went to all that trouble, like enjoy it to the fullest. Hopefully, I guess those old BMW motors were fairly reliable, but LS is like hard to beat that reliability wise. So that's cool. But obviously I love the V8 Miata I just reviewed. It was LS3 in that Miata, and that was wild, ton of fun. And I think people have LS swap BRZs I've seen. That would have been a fun project if I was into project cars. Even like I love Coyote Motors, putting those in vehicles is cool as well. But that's must be a cool build. If you're even remotely close to Pittsburgh, Adam, and you don't mind me taking it for a spin, I'd love to do a video on that, because it seems like people on this channel really respond well to LS swap stuff, at least if the Miata is any indication. So But even if you're not close, or you don't feel like having me drive your car, also totally fine. I hope you like it. But yeah, that sounds like a fun combo to me. And kudos to you for putting in the work for that. And Triton Cargo, thank you so much for gifting 5 memberships there. Glad to see everyone was able to grab those. And thanks for your generosity, Triton Car Guy. And Ronan Wild, thank you for another super chat as well. He says, I mentioned the government only cares about car manufacturers improving emissions standards and adding safety features to improve accident statistics, and governments don't have lots of control over vehicle pricing. Gotcha. Yeah, and so I think that's what it comes down to is it's just like those things drive up prices, but it's because they're trying to progress efficiency, progress safety, and those things cost money. Yeah, and I think there's certain things where, like I've talked about in the past, I think that, they should still offer cars with roll up windows and, no radio and stuff if people want to go that cheap, and I think even if I were to make my own car company and offer a car like that, I'd still make sure that it's efficient, that it's, safe and all that, does all the good crash test ratings and all that kind of stuff. So, in that case, I know a lot of people, they just like want no interference. They want to be able to do whatever they want to do. And if they want to drive around in a milk carton with a V8 on the back of it, they want to be able to do that. And you can with kit cars and stuff. If you want to drive around in a death trap, no one's stopping you. But as far as new car builds, I think it's good that they, make sure that this stuff is safe, that this stuff is efficient. And, I think that, again, I guess it's a divisive thing these days, but to me, regulation is a good thing, because if you just let companies do whatever they're going to do and let the customer 100% decide everything, then there will be no advancement, because it'll just be, I guess, advancement for competition's sake. But that doesn't often get you where you need to be, especially from a safety standpoint, because that's really easy to sweep under the bus. Even a lot of car companies these days, they talk about all the tech that it has. Oh, well, it'll stop itself and it'll, have all these computers and stuff. And it's like, yeah, but what about the crashing? And, everyone says, oh, we got 30 safety features, blah, 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 and all this BS essentially. And then, the IIHS goes and actually runs them into stuff. And they say, oh, actually, like, this is not a safe car. And, a lot of, like, the big one recently is just all the rear passenger safety. You'd say, oh, well, this car got a 5-star rating. It's a safe car, but only for the things that they engineered for. They engineer for the tests. There's a couple of companies, Mercedes and Volvo, and maybe a couple of others, that engineer to their own safety standards. But a lot of other companies, they just engineer to whatever the test is currently. And then that's every time the IIHS comes out with a new test, then you catch everyone with their pants down, because like they didn't engineer for that. And so you're seeing all these, if you follow the IIHS, they just post every week or two new crash test videos, and the new test they're doing now is rear seat safety with kids. And like a lot of these seat belts don't have the pretensioners and load limiters, and it's submarining, and it's like, yep, all the kids in the backs of most of these vehicles at these 40-mile-per-hour head-on collisions are going to have like internal damage and stuff, because these seat belts aren't positioned right. They don't set that up. But they'll say it's a 5-star crash vehicle and it's totally fine, but then people still get hurt in vehicles. And obviously, a crash is still going to be a crash. It's still not going to be pleasant, but like, if they hadn't done that new test, you would have still had the same, I guess by modern standards, crappy seatbelts in the backs of these vehicles, and they'd phone it in, because why? They get top marks for safety and everything else. And so they look great, and it's all just a marketing thing. But, there's a few companies that really do talk about the crashing. And that's one thing I love about Honda. They talk about, hey, we came out with a new airbag design. What other companies talking about airbag designs? Nobody. But Honda did that a couple of years ago. They introduced it in the TLX, I believe, and they've rolled it out to a bunch of other stuff. Civic has it now, where you have this new airbag design that cups your head in an impact. Who else is doing that kind of stuff? I think Hyundai and Kia have the center airbag now that pops up so you don't bump into your passenger. There's a couple of those little advancements, but a lot of this stuff wouldn't happen if you didn't, push these companies on this stuff. Otherwise, they're going to try and get by at the bare minimum to juice their profits as much as they possibly can. And, so there is, to me, it's just naive to think that companies are going to do the right thing. They're not. They're going to do what's best for them, for their investors, and what's best for their appearances. And, again, there's a lot of passionate people at these companies that truly care and stuff, but you're still engineering on a budget. It's one of those things, you got to make compromises. You can't put everything you want into a car all the time. And so there's compromises that get made. And a lot of times it's those kinds of things. If we can save, $5 not putting a pretensioner in the backseat seatbelts, sweet. $5 over 1 million cars is a lot of money, so like there's those types of things that, again, without regulation, you would just have that stuff never happen, I think. So I think it's important to, have some regulation there. And the nice thing with the IHS is that's not even government stuff. That's just insurance companies that fund that research because they don't want to, be paying out, which is a whole other thing with insurance companies I could go on a tangent about. But, just somebody holding these companies accountable and checking their work and making sure that they aren't just claiming stuff and not backing it up, is important. So, it's I think that kind of stuff is good, but I know that might be an unpopular opinion among enthusiasts. But Jordan, thank you for a super chat as well. I see you retracted the message, so I will keep an eye out if there's a follow up there. I'll try and see it. You can just do a regular comment. But two, thank you for another super chat. He says, "Is it weird that my neighbor had a Silverado EV for a month prior to any media, and I don't mean Kyle?" That is weird. I guess you have a Chevy employee living nearby there. That's cool. Yeah. Unless, there's the work truck version. So if you're seeing work truck versions, those have been on sale, I think, for 6 or 9 months now. But if it's an RST like I was just in, then yeah, that's got to be a Chevy employee. Yeah, that'd be the only explanation I can think of. And thank you for another super chat. He says LSE30 is in CT. Drive it anytime. I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, well, yeah, I may actually be heading over to Rhode Island at some point later this year, so not too far from Connecticut. So I'll have to check you out on Instagram there, and I will send you a DM if I can make my way over there. Thank you. I really appreciate the openness. Let me drive your car. I usually don't ask. I always wait for people to offer, but something like that, since you brought it up, I had to mention it. So thank you. I appreciate that. Running Wild, thank you for another super chat as well. He says, "I'm laughing because I see Matt rolling up to a Cars and Coffee with a 2026 F-Type with the highest tech possible, but it has roll-up windows." Yeah, that'd be it. For me, like the base bare bones car idea, would have, it could have, I guess, a backup camera would have to have for safety. But aside from that, yeah, it would be like a 1-speaker stereo, just give people the option to have something super cheap if they actually wanted to. And Jordan, thank you for a super chat as well. He says, "Crash test sites for every car company before government testing. If so, that data is sent to the government." So yeah, car companies do their own crash testing to hopefully prepare for, the IHS tests and stuff like that. But strangely, a lot of companies seems like, again, they still get surprised with stuff because like the IHS, a lot of times they'll expose something in a crash test where it's like, oh wait, it was really funny with really talking about engineering stuff for just the test. There was a few cars where they were doing the driver's side small overlap crash test, and then they were like, "Hey, let's try the passenger side just to make sure that they have the same reinforcements on the passenger side." And sure enough, it was like, nope, like they didn't even bother putting the same stuff on the passenger side as the driver's side for some of these cars. It's like insane. It's like, yeah. So they're like, okay, well, I guess now we got to do passenger side stuff to make sure that everyone's like not just phoning it in for the passenger side of the vehicle. It's like, come on, guys, like. But this is what I'm saying. If you don't hold these companies accountable, they will literally try and get away with that crap. Like, oh, well, they only crash on the driver's side, so let's just reinforce the driver's side, not the passenger side. It's just insanity. So again, that's not every car company, and I don't want to like badmouth the entire industry here, but like that stuff actually happens, and that's just like ridiculous to me. Especially when these companies like to talk about safety, some of them. So anyway, but thank you for another super chat there, Jordan. Getting back to their member questions here before I get on too long of a tangent about safety and bore everyone to tears. So let me see. Getting back here. So yeah, Zachary's laughing at the idea of a GR Rav. I think we got some wind kicking up here. Hope this electricity keeps going for us. Let me see. So MDKN's excited about race fuel from the basement here. Austin says everything is good with the Abarth now, other than needing to put the side skirts back on properly. Another common issue with them if they're not lifted properly. Geez. So did they not lift it as properly as well? Maybe you mentioned that earlier and I forgot, but that's crazy if that also happened. Marco says, bring back the wagons. I'm all for wagons. Yeah, for sure. MD Can says, I don't see the EV craze taking over for at least the next 10 years. We have time. Yeah, definitely have some time for sure. I think most of the predictions are saying it'll be, I think either, I think the goal at least is like over 50% by 2032 now of all new car sales. So we'll see. I mean, but they're really, there was even just this past week, they said that the average age of the vehicle on the road in America was, I think it used to be 12.3 years, and now it's jumped to 12.6. So we're basically like 13 years is the average age of a car on the road. The average age, not like, I mean, we're talking like, think about the stuff that's dragging that average down so far whenever you have millions of new car sales every month too, and then you have that getting dragged down. So we're at that point. I mean, obviously the pricing and all that, I don't blame anyone for keeping a car forever. So that alone, just so people that right now are driving around in a 13-year-old car on average in America, even if they want a Mach-E today, or they're okay with a 2022 or 2024 technology Mach-E, add 13 years to that. We're talking 2037 before that is an average age EV in America. So, I mean, we got time, and this is why when everyone's clutching their pearls when they hear these, reports and stuff, like it's going to be okay. It's not going to go as fast as I think everyone realizes. I think there will be a lot of mass adoption, once we get through this current phase that we're in. I think it will kind of be this thing where, we had this peak and it's, it's kind of tapering off a little bit, and then it's going to peak again, I think, and kind of, once we get to the next gen battery stuff, once we get the NACS switch over and, next year and the year after with everything having a common charging standard and, more rollout of infrastructure and all that, I think all of that is going to really help it to kind of take off. Because I've been hearing more and more, there's a lot of people on the sidelines. They want an EV, they're ready for it, but they're waiting until they have that NACS port so that they're kind of future-proof there, even though there's going to be a lot of CCS stuff still out there, and then they'll have to use an adapter with their NACS port. It's kind of funny, but a lot of people are waiting for that. So I think that we're going to see another spike once that switches over, which I think is supposed to start for most car companies, next year. And I think we'll see, some stronger demand at that point. Let me see. So Michelle says, love F-types on our convertible today, and the sound was just intoxicating. Nice. Yeah, anytime I get to hear an F-type, it's a good day. It's always good to hear those. And Zachary says, is the Grand Tour good? I never made the move over. Oh, man. I mean, I guess, everyone's preferences are different, but I love the Grand Tour. I think it was a great, especially this first few years, it really was just like Top Gear still, just kind of on their own terms, and they picked up right where they left off almost. And they kind of just went to the adventure stuff, which honestly, I loved the car reviews. So for me, I was a little sad when they went to just the adventures. I mean, the adventures are fun for sure, but like their car reviews are what motivated me to want to do car reviews. So like, that was sad to see those go away, but it's really good. I think it's hilarious. 100% fully endorse binging in the Grand Tour if you have some time for that, or you're looking for a new show. Highly recommend. Let me see. Michael's going off about SUVs or wagons with bigger tires and wheel wells. I agree. That is all they are, but in America, that is all it takes to fool someone into buying a wagon. So I think it says more about Americans than it says about the vehicles, honestly. But yeah, it's always so funny, especially with Subarus. No one's interested in a Legacy. No one's interested in an Impreza, especially the Impreza. And then you lift it up a couple inches, put some cladding on it, and then 150,000 sales a year. It's really hilarious. Raphael says Matt needs a back seat. He's admitting there are twins on the way. Now, just that we got our daughter, and just always want to be able to bring her along, and so until she is able to safely sit up front, it's got to be something has to have a back seat for me to have it. Even if I don't plan to drive her in it ever, just for an emergency thing, if Beth is off or the Mach-E is down or something, and I don't have press vehicles, like that would be when I would want to have a usable back seat. Again, a very rare kind of situation, but that I always just want to be prepared for that. So that's why backseat is a must for the next 10 years, I'd say, or so. But let me see. MD Can says Grand Tour is awesome. Love that show, just as good as the OG Top Gear. And he also says it's Kona N is 100% stock. That's awesome. And let me see. MD also says, me and my friend's mouth were both on the floor, and the exact words out of my mouth were, holy crap, that's a gunshot. That is, I don't know if you were in a residential area when that happened, but that sure would have, I'm sure, freaked some people out. And Dave says, you might have been able to trade your bullet for an F-type, then sell it after a while and not lose much. Yeah, I mean, F-types have gotten cheap, but you can get a decent one for right around 30 grand. I mean, the bullet was worth more than that. So I potentially could have, cashed out a little bit of the equity there and, moved into an F-type. It just, again, I needed the back seat. And, I mean, I could potentially go out and just buy an F-type today, but it's just, again, I really can't justify the cost right now. It was a good month this month here as far as YouTube earnings, thanks to the Miata video in particular, but also that Ram video got 60,000 views, 60,000 on the Bullet video. So, I mean, it's been a good month, but, YouTube keeps getting harder and harder. And I look at like what my other videos are earning and what they used to earn. And I mean, it's still, it's still going to be tough to, I mean, we're getting into like the more profitable months of the year where there's more ads. And we're going to be into the holidays and stuff here, in the second half of the year coming up. So like, I'll be fine through that, but winter is always tough. And so if I'm just bracing for next winter, again, I'm going to enjoy this year and all that, but that is, I got to really make sure I'm conserving my money and able to weather the storm if YouTube continues to be crappy with the ad rates and all that. Let me see. Kyle says, I saw a Mustang Mach-E GT with a performance package all blacked out with red brake calipers. Looked really sharp. Nice. Yeah, they do some cool stuff with those. And, the rally version is pretty wild too. They just, as you've been seeing, there was the media drive for that last week. And it was, it kind of looks cool in certain color combos, especially they get that like, eruption green color. Not mad about it. I wouldn't get the rally version or anything, and we can't afford a GT either. But if there is that color available for another Mach-E, if Beth wants to do another one of those and we can afford it in a couple of years, maybe that'll be something that could be cool to do for sure. Let me see. So I apologize, I missed the other super chats here. Jordan, thank you for another super chat. He says, a future for single driver cars in the USA. I mean, honestly, that's not a terrible idea, I don't think, but I think a lot of people, do also like to be prepared for other things. They need to bring someone along or just have more space for stuff or whatever. So I think that's kind of a little too far potentially, because we can't even get people to buy two doors anymore, which a lot of times even still have back seats like Mustangs and stuff. So I don't think, I mean, part of it kind of makes sense, but then you look at the market and it doesn't, I don't think it would ever be something that would actually take off. Be a fun idea, but I doubt it. And Kyle, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. I really appreciate it. And I'm sure everyone else appreciates your generosity as well, but thank you. Jordan, thank you for a super chat again as well. He says, Matt, more comfortable buying a mod or a factory? If you're talking about like modified cars versus factory, stuff. I mean, I'm not much into the mod scene myself anymore. So for me, I like buying something that is already good out of the box. I think there's a lot of really good stuff like that these days. And, especially like with the Mustangs and stuff, having the active exhaust kind of, in my opinion, really removes the need for an aftermarket exhaust for a lot of people. Magna Ride for me was like, give me all the suspension adjustability I wanted. So there's those types of things with drive modes, all these different things that change the car already. I think it makes a lot of the mods less necessary. Obviously, people still going to want to make it their own and do their own things. But, I think for me, I definitely am in the stage of my life where I'm not super into modifying stuff. Light mods is fine, but I like having an exhaust that can shut itself up whenever I don't feel like having it be loud and boisterous. And, that flexibility I think is great with modern cars. And even like, I love how like even the BRZ and the GR86, a lot of people don't like the piped in sounds. For me, I kind of like that because you get a little bit of an exhaust note on the outside, but it's not like, blaring at everyone around you, but like it's pretty loud on the inside partially because of the induction tube and partially because of the speakers, but like, it's like, I'm getting all the fun sounds on the inside, getting that, excitement that I want, but it's not broadcasting it to everyone else around me. I'm kind of in the stage where I like being a little more low key like that. And so for me, that's more my speed these days. Two says we need the basement merch. Yeah, we can. Yeah, I'm not a graphic designer, but that would be that could be a fun inside joke of doing some basement merch there. Thank you too for another super chat. And getting back to the member questions here, I'm gonna drink while I find my place again. All right, so I thought I found my place and then I lost it again. Austin says, according to my insurance, my Fiesta ST is considered a 5-door wagon. Yep, that is what. Yeah, I feel like most hatchbacks, they typically classify them as wagons. Still, I'm not sure why. Luke says, I rode my brother-in-law's Acura TLX Type S. It was super fun. Nice. Glad you were able to experience one. They are a blast, as you saw in my recent video. I'm glad you enjoyed it too, because a lot of people think it's not fast enough. And I guess if you're talking M340i, yes, those are faster, but to me, it's plenty of fun. Great car. I think very underappreciated still. And Marco says, you probably had already thought of it, but what if Beth started editing your videos to free up some time? Yeah, well, she is very busy just being a stay-at-home mom. A lot of people maybe don't realize that if you haven't lived with that kind of a situation or know how that goes, but it's a lot of work and a lot of chasing around a toddler, and she doesn't have much time for that. We even joke around like she we're still, me and her both are like the type that we still buy music off of iTunes and add it to a collection, and we don't just stream everything. And so like I got her an iTunes gift card, I think for her birthday last year, or maybe it was, I don't know, for some occasion. I bought her a gift card for iTunes, and it was like a $20 iTunes gift card. And like, I was like, yeah, you can buy a couple of new albums or whatever. There was a few, bands and singers that came out with albums she liked last year. I'm like, yeah, you can get the new albums and stuff. And she hasn't even had the time to pull out the laptop and download those and sync those to her phone yet. It's just those types of things where it's, we just, again, are so busy with life. I don't have time to, do anything. Same with her. It's just like, we're both always so busy, and if it's not chasing the toddler, it's keeping up with the laundry for the toddler and for herself, and there's a lot. So yes, no time to really help me out there as far as that goes. She's able to hop in the car for 20 minutes and do the interior reviews with me there, but that's about all I don't want to ask her for anymore, because again, she is doing a ton as well right now. And Marco says, if you could do a bucket hat, I would buy that immediately. Okay, well, I appreciate the idea. Yeah, I think that's definitely one of the things that they offer. So bucket hat will be something that I will make sure is on the list of things to add. Thanks for that, Marco. Michelle says, I know you touched on this briefly, but what do you think Civic hybrid pricing will be? Accord hybrid's already started at 32 currently. Okay, so if Accord's 32, I'd say maybe it'll start just under 30, because what is sport touring currently priced at for the just regular 1.5T? I thought those were like 30. The hatch is like 31 or 32, right, already? And then you add the hybrids to it, it's going to be more expensive. I mean, Civic's already been pretty high priced relative to the competition, so I can't imagine it going in a better direction. So yeah, I mean, I guess they can't step on Accord's toes unless Accord gets its price raised for 2025 to give them some space there. But yeah, I'd say I'd be really surprised to see it be anything under 30, maybe 29,995 or something like that. But that's about as low as I can imagine it going. I'd love to be wrong, but I'm not expecting it to be a bargain, especially with that much power and stuff. They're going to market it as a performance thing, potentially, and all that. Just, it's, and there's even the bigger screen. There's going to be all kinds of things they'll say are, reasons for driving the price up. So I wouldn't count on it being, under 30, unfortunately. Linda says, I'll bet that you'll be able to buy back your Bullet in the future. The new owner will take care of it. Is there any way to trim your editing so you have more time? The editing, there's ways, like others have just, I'm talking to Joe Rady. He can edit a video in, half an hour or less. and it's because there's no B-roll. That's really the difference. And to me, I really like having the B-roll. But if you are one of these reviewers that uses no B-roll, I mean, he literally the same thing with Doug or any of these people, where if you just have a camera you set up and you talk, and it's just, I mean, like, Joe's videos are great, but it's just you're watching him drive the whole time with maybe a view forward, but there's really no B-roll there, and that makes it a lot easier, and that's how they're able to do this and keep their sanity with daily uploads and filming a zillion cars. So, and I tried that. If you watch my Hyundai Santa Fe video, I kind of did that as like a one take kind of thing, because Kirk Rifles was kind enough to film for me there for that, and I did that there for that. I still did some B-roll, but I was able to kind of like test that out. I mean, that video, I kind of was expecting it to like be a flop anyway, so I may try it again someday. But the problem with doing it that way, the way that Joe does it, the way that many of these others do it, Car Confections is another one that really doesn't have too much editing, is that you always have to have someone there. You always have a cameraman, and they always do, and I don't have that luxury. So that is kind of the problem with that component, is even if I was okay with it just being a one take 2 camera angle thing, I don't have the luxury of someone following me around with a camera, so unless I did POV videos and just joined the crowd of people that are just strapping a GoPro to their hat and going for a drive, I mean, I could do that, and that would also cut down on the editing there, although that would still be a little tougher because I'd have to blur the speedometer and stuff if I want to not film myself speeding around. But yeah, so I mean, there's a few ways I could do that. I like doing my reviews the way that I do them. I would hope that it gave me a little bit of a differentiator compared to everyone else, but clearly it hasn't really paid off too much. So I'm open to doing stuff like that, and if that's something that more and more people say they want, then I'm fine just putting a GoPro on my head and going for a drive. But again, like, I like making videos that are like what I would want to see, and maybe that's something I shouldn't be doing, but like, I want to see like a close up of like the buttons. I want to see, not just a GoPro wide angle of like, oh yeah, like here's this stuff down here, and that's it. Like, I don't know. To me, it's a better video with the B-roll. But again, people watch way more stuff with, in my opinion, less impressive visuals, and people are fine with that. So, maybe I'm wasting my time, and it is, a fool's errand to be trying to improve the quality of that stuff. But yeah, yeah, it might be something eventually I have to just get to that point of like throwing my hands up in the air and being like, all right, B-roll is a thing of the past. Let's just strap a GoPro on my head and talk and be done with it, and just do that. I don't know. But I don't know. I feel like it's nice to have the B-roll. I don't know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on all that stuff, but that's my holdup. And I don't want to be stubborn though, and I don't want to be stuck in my ways. And if people just don't like B-roll anymore, then I can totally cut that and save myself dozens upon dozens of hours every week. It would make my life a lot easier for sure. But I just don't want it to sacrifice the quality of the videos. And Jordan, thank you so much for another super chat there. He says, review to Magnum. What about trucking car guys? I would love to do his, but he's now in Arizona. So yeah, that makes it tough. I see you're already on that trucking car guys. Thanks for the response there. And thank you, Jordan, for the super chat. I'd love to do a Magnum though, for sure. That'd be great. Two, thank you for another super chat. He says, let's play Matt's favorite game, Armchair Product Designer. Civic Type E or Type ER, what has to happen? I mean, yeah, I think that's something they totally could do someday. I think they're going to probably wait a long time for that, but it is my favorite game, is Armchair Product Designer. So I think, for Type R to go electrified, I think, if I'm pulling out of the parts bin here, you could grab the plug-in hybrid setup that they just debuted in the hydrogen CRV, pair that up with the current hybrid setup, or even if you want to just raise the bar in performance, throw that hybrid system, the plug-in hybrid thing, into any current Civic Type R and make it the electric axle in the rear for all-wheel drive, and you add on an extra, whatever it is, 60, 80 horsepower. I think something like that would be cool. It just would remove the purity, that they really love with those cars, but I think that would be it. And I think, that would be the logical thing too. If you're going to compete with GR Corolla and all that, it makes sense to, do an all-wheel drive version at some point, I think. I don't know if they will, because again, that's probably their differentiation. And kind of like my thing with videos, even if it's worse, performance or something potentially, I think they just like the front wheel drive thing. That's what they stuck with. That's how they started their brand and all that with Type R. So I think, continuing with that might be what they do. But I think if they're going to electrify it, I think just electrifying the back end is probably the best way to go about that if they want to advance the performance. And thank you too for the super chat. And Jordan, thank you for another one. He says Elon forced the EV movement, Kia pushing styling. I think Kia is definitely doing some good style stuff. I don't know if anyone is necessarily like the trailblazer for styling currently, in my opinion. I'm trying to think of like a company that I think Genesis is really making a standout for themselves with just beautiful designs and showing that you can still sell, pretty competitively. I mean, they're not doing BMW sales or anything, I don't think, but they're able to do comparable amounts of selling without having the polarizing styling that BMW seems to think they need. So yeah, I mean, but I think Kia's doing great. I think Hyundai, especially, I think even more so than Kia, I think Hyundai, their stuff with the Santa Fe and all these are very, very bold. And so I think Hyundai is pushing it more than anybody right now. I mean, look at, you have just the variety, Ioniq 5, and then look at Ioniq 6. Completely like unrelated designs there. And then Santa Fe, I mean, it's all over the place, and I love that. It's so great to just see something that's not just like, oh, hey, look, we really like this front end. Now let's copy and paste it onto everything. Like, it's so unimaginative to do that. I get the idea of like, oh, it's a corporate identity or whatever, but like, no, I think the Hyundai approach is way more fun. Sean, thank you for a super chat. He says, can't tip much, might be out of a job. Hope you're well. I appreciate that, Sean. Sorry to hear that. Hope that you're able to find something even better soon, and totally understand. Hopefully, if you have your membership gifting set up, hopefully maybe you'll be able to get a gifted membership as well. And I know YouTube said a while back I could gift memberships as well, but I still don't. They're not giving me an option for it, I don't think, because I would totally throw out some memberships myself. But yeah, it's not giving me any option for that. So I don't know. They're not great. They always like sometimes tell us like, oh, we have this new thing, and then they don't actually like either follow through or show us how to do it very well, because I don't know how to do that if that is actually a thing. But I totally understand, Sean, and anyone else too. Also, if anyone is a member, feel free, if you ever want to forward someone's question that I'm not seeing because they're not a member, by all means. Again, no one has to, but like that is totally something that I'm cool with in case anyone was not sure. If you ever want to boost someone's question, go for it. Let me see. I also see Zachary saying B-roll is 100% better. Talking about the thing while looking at a shot of the thing is so nice. I'm glad you like that. I like that too, but I mean, just seems there's so many videos where I've been watching where people are like, oh yeah, like the screen is great, but you're not seeing the screen. It's like, I want to see the visual of what you're talking about typically, but again, I guess I am, me and you, Zachary, and maybe a few others appreciate the actual view, but others don't. Raphael says, Matt, try looking at car detailers. They set up a static camera to do away with needing a second person. That is certainly something that's, nice, but, with the reviews, a lot of times, like, with Joe and Lori, whenever they're doing their filming, like, she does follow him into the car, and, you see this shot of them, like, the camera flying through the car and, zooming in on the stuff that he's pointing at. So he gets a little bit of a close up there for a brief moment on some of that stuff. So I think the movement is the problem that I'm lacking. Obviously I use a tripod for my, what's up everybody, in the front of the car. I always been using a tripod for that and other static stuff, but it would take me a way longer time if I had to like do a tripod in the car and like set stuff up. It's just a little, because again, you're not getting that close up that I like, unfortunately. But anyway, moving on here. Let me see. Thank you for another super chat. He says, Beth, if you start editing videos, please put editor notes, like if Matt misspeaks or like this took 5 takes. Yeah, I know. I need to do another blooper video, but I don't really have funny bloopers aside from just misspeaking, and that's usually not very funny. And sometimes it is, but a lot of times it's just me getting tongue tied, and a blooper reel of that isn't super exciting. But let me see. And thank you again for the super chat too. Let me see other member questions here. So sorry. Let me see. Immutable Dude says, make sure to like and subscribe. I appreciate that. And welcome to the club as well. I think you're gifted membership last weekend, so glad to see you in here. And I'll keep an eye out if you have any other questions. But welcome and thanks for joining us here. Let me see. So Linda says, your time is impacted by being a husband and a dad. My husband had to work long hours and it isn't fun. Yeah, that definitely eats into it as well. Because yeah, it's just other things you gotta worry about. That you don't have to whenever you're on your own, or it's just you and a spouse, and no one else. It's a lot more free time for sure. Dave says LS swaps are like electric cars that guzzle gas fast but not much character. Yeah, I know that's a popular thing. People do kind of seem to feel that way a lot of cases, but I think a V8 can give stuff character that previously didn't have character. Honestly, the ND Miata is a good example. I love ND2. I think that motor has character, but ND1, I know there's some fans that have ND1s here, so I like ND1. It's still a fun car, but that motor just wasn't as exciting. It didn't rev as high. And so to me, LS was way more of an exciting motor, even though it doesn't have a high red line still, just a more character-filled engine than regular ND, has. And again, ND2, tons of character, higher revving, better sounding, in my opinion, slightly, and just, a little more fun, lighter flywheel, just a bunch of fun stuff in those. But yeah, I've heard that a lot. I know a lot of people just are not into LS swaps, but I think they're cool. Let me see. Raphael says each new car I buy should be safer, but moving from my 2011 Sonata to a 2020 Camry, the safety was there, so I didn't have to consider safety. Yeah, a lot of times there's a given there, just when you're jumping generationally like that for sure. Let me see. Let me see. I think Hyper Shadow, thank you so much for being a member for 1 month. I really appreciate that. Says don't let this discussion distract you from all from the fact that the Ford CEO is still out there somewhere confused about his EV non-EV sedan Mustang. Yeah, I'm glad we're all just running with this joke. That's great. Yeah. Unfortunately, I wish Ford invited me to stuff because I'd love to ask a Ford employee what they think. Because I feel like if anyone other than Jim Farley had said that publicly, they'd immediately be fired. Because, they've spent the past 4 years being like, it's a Mustang, like swearing up and down, like, oh, we had to make it a Mustang. And, all the Ford performance guys and stuff, talking it up and all that. And then to completely have everyone's marketing talk for the past 4 years be thrown under the bus by one interview with Jim Farley. Again, I am aware of the fact that he was most likely just talking about Mustang two-door, but the fact that he didn't make that differentiation, he didn't even mention Mach-E at all, it seems in the interview, is just really strange. So yeah, I'm almost wondering if he's pulling an Elon as far as like having this change of heart where like he was super into the EVs and now maybe he is having different opinions about things. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, Jordan, thank you for another super chat. He says Honda Clarity irrelevant now. Kia Cadenza review. I actually saw a Cadenza just the other day, first time in a while. I think there was an opportunity to do a Cadenza I saw somewhere on a used lot or something, but I didn't bother with it because it just wouldn't get any views because no one's shopping for it, and there's zero interest for a car like that as well. So it's like a double whammy of fail. So that is why if it doesn't sell in large numbers and it's not like exciting in any way necessarily. It's probably a good car, but like just no one would watch a video on that. Honda Clarity, another one. This is why I didn't really do any coverage of that vehicle when it was around. But I think Clarity was brilliant. Honda was trying to convince people about the brilliance of plug-in hybrids, 5-7 years ago. And I thought it was great. It still is a good plug-in hybrid from what I've seen, but just never caught on. And I think the styling of that one definitely didn't help it, but it's a shame because I think it's actually a pretty good car. Fook, thank you for being a member for 12 months now. I really appreciate it. He says, do you know if we can gift memberships to specific persons or is it all random? Unfortunately, it seems like it's random. And I used to think it was like if they were in the live stream, but apparently you can also just be gifted a membership and not be present in the live stream, and just you can sign up for wanting a gifted membership, and then it just emails you and says, hey, you got a gifted membership, even if you haven't watched the channel in months. So I think that's how it works. It would be nice to be able to specifically gift to certain people. I agree. And maybe that'd be an opportunity for YouTube in the future. But for now, it's, I think, all random. Two, thank you for another super chat. He says, just a diss at BBL Jersey. Sorry, I meant BBL Dougie. All right. Well, I appreciate the super chat too. And hopefully Doug doesn't steal too many views from the weekly updates here with his news podcast that he's been doing here recently. Jordan, thank you for another super chat. He says, I'm the one that keeps saying Ford Lithium will be. I hope that they do the lithium someday, but it sounds like if Jim Farley has his way, that is definitely never going to happen, which is really a shame because I thought it was a great idea for sure. Let me see. Austin says, I need to wash my cars to send to Matt for member showcase consideration. Absolutely. Yeah, haven't had the member car of the weekend a few weeks now, but just don't have any new cars to post up really. But I do have one more from B Mitchell, so I can maybe post that one here. Although, I could probably post it tomorrow. But other than that, I'm just waiting on anyone else that would like to submit their vehicle as a member. Send me an email or something in the any of the social media stuff. Send over a picture, and I'd love to feature it. And the Good Stick says, do you think sedans will make a comeback soon as EVs generally get better range as sedans compared to SUVs? Great idea. And I think there's been some car companies talking about that, but again, they're limited by what people will buy. And Mercedes is a prime example of this. I guess it's kind of debatable when you look at the kind of range that BMW gets, but Mercedes seemed to be convinced that they needed to do that smooth jelly bean styling in order to get the best range, and that was going to give them an edge over the blockier, more traditional style of the competing EVs. And but clearly people don't want that styling from Mercedes, and so now you're going to see, it sounds like Mercedes is going to follow BMW and just take their regular styling and just throw the electric stuff in it, and hopefully have better sales that way for their next generation of EV stuff. I think there seems to be a limit from what customers want, and the range differences aren't huge right now, so I think there's not enough of an advantage for that to make sense. I think same thing goes for SUVs. If people just want an SUV, they were fine taking a range hit for the idea of maybe someday driving on a gravel road with their truck. It's just like that kind of thing, especially here in America, but it's a global thing really these days. People just like that preparedness. And I think as we see more and more extreme weather, there's also that I think something people don't talk about a lot, but I think that is really feeding into the truck and SUV phenomenon more and more, is the fact that people, see, well, I usually have good weather, but now all of a sudden I'm having landslides, I'm having all these other things. And you don't want to, be caught with a vehicle that can't handle, a surprise crazy storm or something. I think there's a lot of people that value that as well now. And I think weather is just going to get more and more extreme, I think, as things continue on here. Again, unless we find ways to improve things, but I'm not seeing that happening. So I think that, you're going to see more and more people wanting a zombie apocalypse response vehicle, because people feel like that's what they need in these times we're living in. So I think you're going to have that to run up against as well. But I think, it's just the advantages right now between SUV and EV are just not good enough to justify that as a sedan comeback. I think there's, cultural things that could bring back sedans, like I've talked about in the past of, if everyone's grandma's got a crossover, and SUVs maybe get a bad vibe down the road, or maybe just like the off-road stuff like you see, the people that don't love Ram drivers and things like that. If that starts to extend into other off-road vehicles and other rugged things, is like rugged means a road rage and Ram driver, breathing down your neck or something, then maybe people will be like, oh, well, no one's going to be terrified of me behind them in a sedan or something. Like maybe there could be something like that culturally that makes sedans be more, appealing to certain people. But, it's hard to feel like maybe that's not going to be a large segment of people. So, yeah, I'm trying to come up with ways sedans can maybe, be more in vogue, but I feel like it's going to be tough for a while. And Dave says you can get a bare bones Porsche for an extra $100,000. Right? They charge you an extra $1,000 for everything they remove from the vehicle or whatever. At least it seems that way. But yeah, that's definitely the way. And there was a funny bit on Top Gear even 15 years ago about, I think Jeremy Clarkson was like questioning Hammond about that. Like, oh, you bought a GT3 RS. What does it get you over a regular GT3? Well, they removed the back seat and you paid extra for that. Things like that. It's pretty great. Good Stick says, if you see a 90s Toyota Previa crash test the dashboard and the crash test for it, the dashboard and the steering wheel crushed the dummy and the whole chassis bent. Yikes. Yeah, I can see that happening. That is, it's a lot of stuff back then, especially older stuff, just did not hold up, unfortunately. We've come a long way with safety in the past, even 20 years. Abby Mitchell says, hey, 8 of my 9 are doing their part to drag down the average there as far as the average age of the vehicle on the road. Yeah, you got an awesome collection, Abby Mitchell. And Raphael says, I live in the hood. I hear gunshots about as often as I change TV channels. Unfortunate but true, man. Well, stay safe out there then. That's unfortunate. But yeah, hopefully everyone stays safe and things get a little less crazy in the world someday. And Stratus Edge says, I love the V8 Miata video. Wonder how an LS and a BRZ would do. Yeah, a couple people have done it. I would love to review that someday if anyone ever offers me one. That'd be a lot of fun, I think. Especially, again, first-gen BRZ. That motor had some character, was fun, but I think the LS motor would be definitely a lot more fun. Linda says, I become so attached to my cars that I keep them as long as repairs aren't too expensive, typically 15, 20 years in regards to, again, the conversation earlier about all that. I'm sorry, I'm so behind on comments. But yeah, it's I think it makes a lot of sense. And cars have gotten a lot more reliable. I think that's also part of why that average has dragged out was, it used to be a car wouldn't last you more than 10 years, or they couldn't go over 100,000 miles before they rusted to pieces and stuff like we've seen in the 70s and 80s, especially stuff just rusting so fast, the quality being garbage and all that, And so I think, especially in the 90s with all the Japanese stuff that came in and then everyone else responding to that, I think that is really the big shift that made everything go from, I feel like we doubled the average life of a car over the past 40 years or so. It's kind of crazy. And Brian says, hope YouTube gets better for you. I support you. I appreciate that, Brian. Thank you. And let me see. Marco says, I know what you mean. My wife is also a stay-at-home mom. Our son is a handful. Yeah. So then you totally get it. Yeah. So preaching to the choir here. Zachary says, you've mentioned that you're looking to switching to 4K. Would that require a new camera for you? Unfortunately, yes, if I wanted to do it well. So I have my current camera is a Panasonic G85, which isn't a very fancy camera to begin with. It does do 4K. That's why I do 4K for the weekly updates, but it's only 30 frames and it's cropped frame. And it's not the smoothest 4K. So it works whenever I'm stationary and I'm, sitting in front of a camera and that's it. But whenever I'm moving with 4K, it gets kind of choppy. It's not the best. So I would need to upgrade the one camera. I have an Insta360 that does 4K, no problem. And also like my side shot that you see when I'm shifting gears and stuff, sometimes that's also a GoPro Hero 4. I'm on a Hero 4 still for that. So, talking about, I really am a penny pincher and I have to be these days. But I literally have, I don't know when I got that GoPro, probably probably not quite 10 years ago, but probably not far off from that. So, because they're on, I think, Hero 12, so that'd make it 8 years old, right? So yeah, I'd have to upgrade that too, which is overdue for an upgrade for sure. But not wanting to spend money if I don't need to. But yeah, I feel like I do need a price switch to 4K pretty soon because I keep hearing that more and more people watching YouTube on TV. My neighbor was just telling me that at their new job they're working at, a few of the people like somehow got brought up in conversation. I do car reviews, and they're like, "Wait a minute, is Matt your neighbor?" And they're apparently fans of the channel, which is always so funny to whenever those kinds of things happen. But they were like, "Oh yeah, we love watching them on our TV," and I'm like, "Oh man!" Like so, and YouTube's been telling us this that like TV is really the thing, and I feel like 1080p. I mean, I haven't watched one of my videos on the TV in a while, so I don't know how it looks. Maybe you guys can chime in, but yeah, I feel like I need to go 4K if everyone's watching stuff on these, giant TVs. So it's just one of those things. I mean, it's a tax write-off. That doesn't mean it's free, but it's something that at least I'll be able to recoup a little bit of the spend on that. So I do need to probably just spend some money on cameras here, maybe later this year. We'll see how the channel continues to go. Because I also don't want to invest a ton of money into cameras if I'm not going to be doing this channel for a long while either. I mean, I can always sell cameras and stuff, but I don't want to invest a bunch of money and then end up switching to a 9-to-5 job or something here in a year or two. So we'll see, but hopefully I'll operate some cameras soon. Yeah, sorry I missed a couple of the other super chats. YouTube's not doing a good job of keeping me notified on those here, but Jordan, thank you for super chat. It says next underestimated brand for the US besides Kia. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just because I was just on this Chevy event, but I feel like Chevy is kind of taking a unique approach, how they're doubling down on EVs when everyone else is pulling away. Chevy's like, oh no, like we are going full throttle into EVs right now. And I think they're kind of filling a gap that there's this vacuum right now of like everyone was blitzing the market with EVs. Now EV sales have cooled off, and you have just like there's some new stuff coming out, but it's kind of a stale. Everything's been out for a year or two, and there hasn't been a ton of super fresh stuff, very recently. And now Chevy's going to be, coming in with the Equinox EV, which you'll be hearing more about. I'll be able to talk about that more next week when that review goes live, and I can follow up with that after. But there's just that, and then Blazer's finally going to start scaling up. It seems like they've gotten a lot of the issues behind them with Blazer. So that's going to be coming online in full force here. And, again, more versions of the Silverado EV and all these things. And I think they're really pushing hard into that market. And especially, again, they're focused on the cheap stuff. They've got the new Bolt coming in, a couple of years. I think that them focusing on the affordable stuff with Equinox and, the new Bolt and all that, I think is going to really help too. But I think that Chevy, if they can work out all these bugs, I think Chevy is actually poised to maybe surprise some people here with the volumes they could do if they can keep up. I also think Toyota is very underestimated. I mean, obviously they're one of the biggest brands in the world, so it's not like, I guess, just from a public perception standpoint, a lot of people thought Toyota was behind with EVs. I think Toyota is going to have a knockout year this year, I think, with, again, hybrids just being red hot right now, plug-in hybrids being pretty hot. I mean, Toyota's not able to keep up with plug-in hybrid demand anyway. I don't know why that's still been an issue for them, but just hybrids, if they can churn those out, and I mean, Camry's hybrid only now and stuff. I mean, they are really poised. Like, I mean, they're already, top dogs, but they are going to really, I think, dominate the market this year and just completely annihilate everyone with sales with a lot of this stuff. And we will see, new 4Runner for the first time in forever is coming online. And Toyota has got a heavy hitting lineup here coming, just with the stuff we know about. And there's, potential rumors of, a new Maverick competitor. RAV4 is probably going to be due for a redo pretty soon as well. Which is their top selling vehicle. So, I mean, they got a lot of fresh product coming and stuff probably on the horizon shortly after. And yeah, I think Toyota, again, was massive already. I think they were really set up to be even bigger, especially because they are playing this pullback on EVs so perfectly. It's like they actually had a crystal ball almost, and they endured all the people talking crap about them for the past few years. And now, like, everyone is eating crow because, like, Toyota is just like, here's all the hybrids for everyone. And it's just, they are raking in the money. So anyway, Moving on here, Raphael, thank you for a super chat. Apologies for the slow delay here, but he's saying, all joking aside, thanks for giving me a really fun way to get ready for the new week at a stressful job. And we both love Aston Martin. That's awesome. Yeah, no, thanks so much for watching these. I'm glad you guys enjoy them. And Raphael, I'm glad you appreciate it and enjoy it as well. And sorry to hear the job is stressful. Hopefully it's rewarding in some way. But yeah, that's and that's something a lot of people definitely have to deal with. I'm very, very grateful that I'm, even though my job is very stressful as well. I know you guys all see the highlight reel, but I'm feeling I'm pretty transparent on here with all the stressful parts of it. But I definitely don't want to complain because it's such a fun job, and it's worth the stress. So hopefully your job, even if it's stressful, is also worthwhile and exciting in some way. But thank you, Raphael. I really appreciate the support. Luke, thank you for a super chat as well. He says, Matt, long-haired girl in white dress is standing behind you. Run, Matt, run. I think you might be hallucinating some stuff there. I want whatever Luke's having. That'll be that's some good stuff there. But either that or I'm not. You're tapped into a fourth dimension that I'm not seeing here. But that's thanks for keeping us laughing there, Luke. You and two can keep the basement going here with this. some fun laughs here. And let me see. Getting back to the remember questions. Let me see. Raphael says, my friend is moving to Germany and gifting me one of his bass guitars. So now I have 8 guitars and 4 bass guitars. I need to go on tour. There you go. That's awesome. Congrats. Yeah, my father-in-law is a big guitar collector as well. He's got some really cool stuff. And I'm not a guitar person, so I won't even attempt to repeat names or whatever, but he's got some cool stuff. He's really into that. He's in a band and all that. And yeah, I can appreciate some cool looking guitars. And Trenton Cargrass says, I'm still willing to let Matt review it if he can find the time to come here. Yeah, the Magnum, I'd love to have time if I'm in Arizona and have some free time. I'll definitely send you a message, Trenton Cargrass. It'd be great to film that. And I appreciate you being open for that still. Vishal says, I mentioned a few streams back that my friend was looking into 5 Series. He ended up getting a CPO 2023 540i M Sport rear-wheel drive. Such a great car with a B58. Nice, yeah. I think, is that the same? That's the same motor. It's in the 2021 that I reviewed, I think, right? Pretty sure. But yeah, I mean, great cars. I love the 540i. It's a very underappreciated car, I think, from a dynamic standpoint, too, because they're really, more dynamic than people give him credit for. And yeah, I'm glad he was able to get one. And yeah, hopefully he's enjoying it. But that's awesome. Rafi says, you'll have a cameraman once your daughter is older. It'll be a family business. Yeah, maybe she'll want to help. I mean, she already likes doing what we call the rolling shots sometimes, although recently, now that she's a three-nager, she's not in the mood sometimes for that. But she used to really love, putting her camera up there, and as we're driving along, she's got her little, camera that she was taking pictures and stuff. So, maybe that'll be something she'll want to help out with more in the future. But I'm definitely not going to expect it. I actually just the other day was talking to her, and it wasn't like I was asking her what she wants to do for a job, because that's not something a 3-year-old needs to worry about. But I was just like, oh, like, would you, like, I think I was talking to how I would, take videos of cars and pictures. And I was like, would you want to take pictures of cars someday? She was like, no. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, she was just completely flat. Like, nope, I don't want to do that. I'm like, all right, well, fair enough. Totally fine. So we'll see if she changes her opinion in another 15 years or so. But yeah, that was just made me laugh. And Good Stick says the Integra starts at 32 for base models. There's no way a Civic could be the same price. I mean, I think they already are. I mean, if someone wants to hop on the configurator for Honda, I think Sport Touring hatch right now is like 32. I could be wrong. I thought it was. Let me see. So Marco says, depending on the duty station I get sent to, I'm debating on cars under 30 grand, ideally 20, so I can have some wiggle room. I've been seeing a lot of Vets and some Veloster Ns. Nice. Yeah, Veloster Ns are great, but it seems like they really don't appreciate very much. Every once in a while, I'll look at the prices on those, and it's either one that's like really rough around the edges that's, in a reasonable price range, but like nice ones seem like they're still like mid to high 20s, which is impressive for a car that is it started at what, like 29, I think, or 30. So yeah, I love Veloster N, but if they're like beat up and they're still like mid 20s, it depends on how much you want something that hardcore. But like, personally, I'd just probably be happy enough with like a Mazda 3 turbo hatch. Gives you more power from a torque standpoint, at least, more comfort and luxury. It's a more mature kind of sedate vehicle, obviously, compared to Veloster, and they're completely different animals. But if you just want punch in a straight line and a nice daily driver, and then I think those actually take pretty well to mods. I think Mazda 3 is a car that like very untapped potential. I mean, it's unfortunate that Mazda hasn't thrown at least a little bit of a handling package on it, something. Because I mean, I feel like all that car needs is, even you don't even need to do a tune, but I mean, if you just want to do it easy, simple, safe tune, do wheels, tires, sway bars, dampers, and springs, like you got a Mazda Speed 3 for not much money, because you can get one of those things used for the regular Mazda 3 turbo hatch. They're like mid 20s for a nice one, like low 20s if you want one a little rougher. I think it's a great car for the money too. But I mean, Vets obviously are great. There's no shortage of those out there from any kind of price point. You can find a Vet pretty much these days. So another great one. It just comes down to what you personally like and what you want out of a car. Also, I see you saying the one that's creeping into the high 20s are the Focus RSs. Really? I didn't know Focus RSs had dipped into the 20s. Interesting. Well, that could be a potential. I'd sit in one, because everyone's body type is different. But for me, I could not get comfortable in the Focus RS seat. That was the only thing that. Otherwise, like that's another car. I feel like it's like no one really thinks about those much anymore. Like they were all the rage, back when they were new, and then like seemed like people just like forgot about them kind of. And so interesting. I'll have to, now I'm curious, like go see how much they cost around me, because I want to see what the pricing is on those. Not like I would get one, but just curiosity. And says, I don't know if I'll see where I get stationed so I can finally decide. Nice. Yeah, hopefully you can get something. I mean, the thing is though, with car purchases these days, there's no rush, because it's like horrible interest rates and all that. So it's tough, especially for the used market right now. So you might be better off just waiting anyway until interest rates get a little bit better, or go for something new that has a better interest rate on it. Good Stick says Mercedes probably started the whole trend of making the cars have the same styling with the CE and S. Yeah, that is, I think they were one of the first, and just a lot of other companies doing it now. I mean, some more so than others. Like Acura has similar stuff, but I think there's enough differentiation there that the TLX doesn't look like an RDX or an MDX exactly. And so I think, there's some changes there, and those cars look so good that, I'm not complaining for many of those. But yeah, it would be nice to see some more differentiation. We see Good Stick says you need to review a Lexus LFA. Your face reaction hearing the V10 is going to be insane. I would love to. And there was someone in, I think it was in Toronto or Quebec, that offered me an LFA. I think they also had a GT3 Touring, and I really want to get up there. But this was many years ago, and I don't even know if they still have it anymore. But they offered it to me a long time ago, and I definitely wanted to do it. It just, that's a commitment to drive all the way up there, and be a little bit more of a trip than my average, driving across PA or something like that. So, but yeah, I should probably reconnect and see if that person still has the LFA, because that would be a fun one to someday do. I don't know. I mean, I guess hopefully people would watch that video. I don't know. I'm sure, again, you guys are all the ones that, love the channel and stuff. So I have no doubts, polling you guys, you'd all probably watch an LFA video, I'm sure. But I see the hundreds. Okay. So I appreciate the instant response there. So yeah, it's just, I don't know about broad appeal for that, because supercars typically don't do very well on my channel, which is why I kind of shy away from doing them most of the time, even if I do have an opportunity. But that one's so unique, and it's Japanese, which I feel like a lot of you really enjoy Japanese vehicles. Japanese cars seem to do really well on this channel, regardless of what they are for the most part. So yeah, someday I got to figure that out. I should probably send them an email and see if they still have it before I start to think about that too seriously, because I kind of filed that away in the back of my head and forgot about it. But that'd be a fun one to do someday. And Raphael says, what we really want to know, what's the new bourbon? You didn't sell a bullet and not have some bourbon. Um, so yeah, the bourbon, I did have some the night that I said goodbye to that car, I did have some. And I think right now, just working through my Canadian club. It's just whatever I have that's opened up. So I have that. I got some, which isn't bourbon. It's just, that's Canadian whiskey, obviously, but didn't have bourbon that time. I have some Maker's Mark, but I don't think I currently have any other bourbon than those. I got some Scotch still laying around that I need to work through. I'm not the biggest fan of Scotch, so it takes me forever to get through it, but I think that's about all that I have right now. So typically I ask for whiskey for my birthday, which is coming up here in July. So probably get my stocks replenished here around then maybe. But let me see. Trend Car Guy is talking about, membership gifts there. Asking about how to become a member. So yeah, members either get gifted. Thanks Trend Car Guy for chiming in there. Yeah, there's that join button as well if you'd like to join up yourself. And let me see. Oh, thank you for I missed a couple more super chats. I apologize there. Jordan says Aston Martin affordable cars beneficial, EV or ICE. I appreciate the super chat, Jordan. So I think Aston Martin, they definitely like staying very premium. As far as electric stuff, they got a partnership with Lucid coming. That's probably gonna be a couple years. I think it's 2027 now for that. And then as far as they tried the affordable car kind of with the Signet, which was just basically a Toyota or Scion IQ, which I think Toyota called it something else elsewhere in the world. But the little tiny smart car competitor that Aston Martin, for some bizarre reason, bought off of Toyota and put Aston Martin badges on, which I would love to have one of those little things. It'd be so fun. I don't think they actually sold it in the States, but it was I think a UK only thing potentially. But that was the only time they ever tried to do anything affordable outside of the used stuff right now, which would be a fun, that would be kind of a fun, if I couldn't get an F-Type, because I needed a back seat, it's a horrible idea, I'm sure. It would probably just drive me to poverty, but a DB9 Volante or something like that with a V12, even those old V12s sound amazing. And that has a nice back seat. I mean, it's not huge, but it has a back seat that is functional. And I think those are in the high 20s. Again, horrible idea, because I'm sure if something goes wrong with that engine, you can just you might as well just park the car and give up. But that would be a tempting affordable Aston if I wanted to just abandon all sound judgment. Or make a great build series, or just a Chronicles of Matt becoming broke trying to keep an Aston Martin that's 20 years old running. But but yeah, maybe someday. It'd be kind of, I guess it's kind of who's Hoovy? Some of these guys that buy all these really bad idea, expensive, problematic cars, and then it's just them pulling their hair out video after video trying to get them to work and stuff. So yeah, that'd be fun if I could afford. I can't justify to do anything like that right now, money wise, but if I got a few bucks to spare down the road, that could be a fun investment that hopefully would pay off. If I'm just buying stuff that's going to be a nightmare, but at least I know it's just for content and I'm not actually worried about it being reliable. Okay, so I'm seeing some love there for that idea. Okay, so yeah, that could be fun, and that's something that I have thought about. It's just getting into something exciting enough for a cheap enough price is kind of the problem. You kind of gotta, and those kinds of things, you can't finance it or anything. So it's I gotta pay cash for 20, 30 grand to get into a DB9 or something. And I don't have that kind of cash laying around right now. So but that could be a fun idea for the future if I can swing it someday. We'll see. And let me see. So Jordan also, thank you for the super chat. It says limited editions featured in movies as a sales pitch. Yeah, I think there has been some of that. I hope there's more of that in the future. Part of me is hoping that Dodge loves doing their special editions, and now we got the Charger that looks like a 68 Charger. And there's talks of, it's coming. There's a new Bullet movie coming. It sounds like the Bullet movie is going to be based in the 60s still and kind of be like or like a next chapter that picks up where the first original movie left off. But if by some chance the new Bullet movie becomes a modern day thing with a modern day chase, I'd love to see Dodge do a Bullet edition, a Dodge Charger Bullet. Like that would be super cool. I mean, Ford would probably like lose their mind, but I mean, they don't have the rights to it. It's like Dodge could totally come in. I mean, that's Warner Brothers that has that rights to that. So like Dodge could come in and do a Dodge Charger Bullet all black and have the bad guy car from Bullet with an electric, or even use the gas powered version if they want. Charger would be super cool. And I would be very tempted by that. Obviously probably couldn't afford it, but that'd be fun. Yeah, I think, if you're into movies, it's always a fun idea to have, a movie or a car, based on a movie. You see the Ford Explorers and the Jeeps with the, or Jurassic Park stuff on it and all that. I think those kinds of things are things the car company should lean into more. You would think that there would be a Wrangler Jurassic Park edition or something that would be something that would keep going beyond even just like a one model year thing, because there's a lot of people that like those kinds of things, but I'm sure they've ran the numbers on it and it's not profitable enough. But if companies ever get desperate enough, I'm always hoping if they're looking for a new special edition to do something based on a movie, because it's always a fun tie-in. But Robert, thank you so much for a super chat as well. He says, "Hey Matt, I don't know about you, but I think Tim Kuniskis got out before the downfall of Dodge. I don't believe that he really retired. What are your thoughts?" We kind of talked about this in the earlier part of the live stream here, but I think, I don't know. I mean, because I think if he was just unhappy with Dodge, then he would have gone somewhere else if he wanted to still work. And maybe he will. Maybe he said retirement just to try and, leave politely from Dodge, and then you'll see him pop up at another company down the road, or say someone brought him out of retirement or something. I don't know. But, he could have just jumped ship and gone somewhere else, and he didn't. Which makes me think that he still is, agreeing with what the brand's doing. I mean, he was the one calling the shots. I mean, maybe unless he thought it was just inevitable and it was going to be driven into a brick wall. But I think that, like he has said, performance is what made them do it. I don't think that's just marketing crap. Like, I think electric cars are the fastest drag racers, at least off the line and stuff. So like, if you want to win drag races, you show up in an electric car. Like, so I think it makes sense for Charger to me. It's totally on brand for them from a performance standpoint and what those drivers actually do with those cars. Now, if it's doing it the way those drivers want or not is obviously debatable, and probably not what most of those drivers want. But, I think that it has potential with the exhaust pipes they're putting on it and stuff. If they do it well, I think they'll win over some people. Obviously, there's always going to be people that are going to hate on it. And, just the fact that it's an EV is going to, write it off no matter what. But I think that Tim believed in that. And I think that, he's the one that, guided them to this next generation. And, he seemed excited about it. So I don't think that, he's jumping ship from, before the implosion of Dodge or anything. I don't think that's the case. And, Dodge, we know every Stellantis brand, whenever Stellantis became a thing a few years back, they gave every brand 10 years. So anything that happens, regardless of how badly Dodge crashes and burns in the next 5 years, like they have until the early 2030s to prove their worth before they're ever on the chopping block. So, it'd have to go really badly for them. I think that they will be okay. They're in this transition period now. And, hopefully they come out on the other side here in a couple of years with a solid lineup. It just takes time, and they're just unfortunately in that point in time right now. And I guess, Tim, for whatever reason, just didn't want to, continue on with that. And like I said, I earlier mentioned, I know a few people that kind of know him, pretty well. And so I'm curious to talk to them on a future press drive and see if I can kind of get any more info about, why that happened, even if it's not something I can repeat, because that's not my story to tell. Tim can come out and give his 2 cents if he wants to, but, I'm curious selfishly for myself, just, wondering why that happened, because it was really a surprise for me as well. But I don't think it's because of Dodge. And like I said at the beginning, I think a lot of these, life is short. Times get crazier and crazier by the day. And if I had millions of dollars I was sitting on and I could ride off into the sunset, I would too. It's obviously, like I've said before, even if, I didn't need to do this job anymore for whatever reason, I'd still, come on these live streams just to hang out with you guys because I enjoy this. But as far as, if I didn't have to do car reviews, like I love doing them, but it's a lot of work. And if I could just play around with cars and, do my own thing and, have fun with millions of dollars at my disposal, like, sure. Like I'd probably do exactly what Tim did, so I don't blame him one bit. But anyway, and thank you again for the super chat there. And FR8 Productions and Reviews, thank you so much for joining the club. I really appreciate it. I'll keep an eye out for any of your other questions here. I know I see some popping up. I don't want to get too far behind on member questions here, but try and get caught up because I know we're almost out of time too, which is insane. But also, Jordan, thank you for another super chat. He says, reach out to be in the Bullet movie as an extra. I mean, they'll probably film it in San Francisco, which would make that hard. But if there is anything remotely close, 100%, I would love to do that. Or even, I mean, I'm not on anybody's radar, but if any movie executives working on that are hearing or watching this, by all means, throw my hat into the ring there. I would more than happily be an extra or anything they want to throw at me. I'd love to be in that movie for sure. Stratus, thank you so much for being a member for a month. I really appreciate it. I says, hey Matt, what are you going to watch? Or when are you going to watch? Are you going to watch the new Mad Max movie? Says one of our local theaters is having an event with some of the crazy cars from the franchise. I'm so out of the loop. I didn't know there was a new Mad Max coming. So, yeah, I've never seen any of them. So, something I need to get caught up on. There's a few franchises I haven't seen any of the movies from that always makes people scream in horror whenever I say, like, I haven't seen Jurassic Park. I haven't seen any of the why is the name escaping me right now? I've never seen any of the Lord of the Rings. I've never seen any of the what's the stuff with Harrison Ford in it? I don't remember. Anyway, I haven't seen a bunch of stuff. I haven't seen any of the Star Wars movies really outside of the one new one a few years ago. And then like the first 5 minutes of the original, which put me straight to sleep, unfortunately. Another thing, I'm probably, imagining all the groans from people that are so disappointed in me. But a lot of stuff I still just haven't seen. I'd like to watch everything someday. I'm a big movie person. I just, again, don't have time. I haven't watched any of the stuff on that shelf. Nothing up there has been put in a DVD or Blu-ray player in at least probably 6 months. Actually, that's probably about a year. I haven't seen any of that stuff up there. Some of those are still sealed because I just bought them just to have them, and I haven't even opened them up to watch them again. So, Beth's more into TV shows as well. It's not just, her, but a lot of times we're just keep getting caught up on TV shows that we like watching, and again, we don't have time. I mean, even if I wanted to watch a movie, I don't have 2 hours at the end of every night usually. We're just all so exhausted and stuff. We just want to go to sleep. So it's just, movies are a big ask at this point in our lives right now. Hopefully someday we can get back to watching more because I do enjoy it. And I miss the movie theater too. I don't really go to the movie theater very much anymore, and I need to get back to that because it's been always a fun experience. But anyway, try and get a couple of the member questions here so we don't go too far over 2 hours if we can avoid it. But thank you, Robert, for another super chat. I appreciate it. He says, if you could be the CEO of any car company, where would you go and what would be your very first change to the brand? Keep up the great work. I appreciate it, Robert. I mean, I see whenever I think about being a CEO, a lot of it is like me wanting to continue what brands are already doing. So like, I'd love to be an executive at Toyota and make sure they keep the GR stuff going. And 2 is probably around here somewhere getting ready to say that I'm a Toyota shill, but I love what Toyota is doing. And I love that they're affordable performance cars and that they're really, really good. All of them are so good too. They're not just like cars that say we have sports cars, but they're like good, well done sports cars. And they are not, these exclusive things for millionaires. And so I would love to just make sure that continues on. That would be really cool. Beyond Toyota, I think that I would Honda's a brand that I think does a really good job in a lot of ways. I think they do some really good stuff, but then there's some big misses. And so I think maybe Honda would be one of the brands I'd like to, be armchair product planner and just, I feel like they have some low hanging fruit that they're not capitalizing on, whether that is, adding in a all-wheel drive Accord, all-wheel drive Civic. Like these are things that are easy adds. They already have that fit with the current, architectures and stuff that they already have. Like take the CRV stuff. You already have all the other CRV stuff in the Accord. Just put the rest of the powertrain in for the all-wheel drive. Like, to me, the second that all-wheel drive Camry came out, they should have been running to the R&D, lab at Honda and immediately been like, all right, how are we going to fit this stuff in an Accord? And they haven't done it. But, so there's some of those types of things. I mean, again, I'm sure they have good reasons for doing what they're doing. And this is why I don't want to act like I have all the answers for any of these brands. And it's just, again, me being armchair product planner. But like, I think I'd say Honda would probably be my pick because I think they do really good stuff. I love so many of their products, but there's so many other things. I think Honda could be so much better and so much further ahead than they are with just the existing stuff they have. So this hydrogen CRV thing is another example. Like they went to all the trouble of doing a plug-in hybrid system for this hydrogen CRV they're going to sell maybe 50 of. And it's like, you guys got a brand new plug-in hybrid system when that is the new hotness right now that GM can't even put in stuff until 2027, according to, the recent interview this past week, like I talked about in the weekly update. And Honda has it, and they're letting it waste away in a hydrogen CRV that 5 people in California are going to get, and maybe a few in Japan. Like, what? Like, you're wasting all this money. And I mean, maybe that is something that is coming, but like, why would you launch it with a hydrogen version? It just like, again, I'm guessing there is some reason from the headquarters that is the way it is. Maybe they need a loud American to just be boisterous and inappropriate and be like, what are you guys doing? But like, it just seems like there is those types of things. Like, all right, cool. You got a plug-in hybrid thing in the CRV already ready to go. Immediately put it in CRV hybrid yesterday. Put it in Accord yesterday. Literally beat Toyota to the punch. If Toyota can't do this, then they need to do it. I mean, like Mazda is another company. I was just talking to the one Mazda engineer on the CX-70 thing 2 weeks ago where he's like, yeah, Toyota can't keep up with plug-in hybrid production. Guess what? We're raking in plug-in hybrid CX-90 sales. He's like 40%. 40% of people buying CX-90s right now are buying plug-in hybrids, partially because they lease so well with the tax credit loophole. But like, I was like, the fact that you guys are keeping up with, I'm like, you don't have any wait lists for these? He's like, no. He's like, we're churning them out and people are snapping them up. But he's like, we're not, like, we don't have a wait list because, I mean, I'm sure there's some wait list somewhere, but like they don't have a big backlog of people pulling their hair out, not able to get CX-90s. Because he's like, yeah, we saw that people were going to want the plug-in hybrids. We anticipated that. And we, ramped up production so that they're able to say that 40% of all CX-90s are plug-in hybrids. And Toyota can't say that about RAV4. I mean, they can't even say that about any of their products because they're not building enough of them. And so that's another thing. That's one of the things I think I'd love if I could take over Toyota would be to be like, what's going on with these plug-in hybrids? We need like 100,000 RAV4 plug-in hybrids, every year. And I think people would snap up every one they could build, but they're just not doing it. But I think Honda, especially, they got all the ingredients for so many sales successes that they're not capitalizing on. So that would be the top one, I think, for sure. And Jordan, thank you so much for another super chat as well. He says, can we send you DVDs/Blu-rays for you to watch? I mean, you're welcome to. I don't have a PO box or anything. If you have recommendations though, of stuff that I can maybe, if it's available on a streaming service or something, always up for recommendations and I will get to them when I can. So yeah, if you have that, by all means, send them over. Let me see. So I'll try and get a couple member questions here. We're already at the 2-hour mark, but we will get caught up here as best we can. So let me see. Do this as quick as I can. So, Two says he's off. So thanks for hanging out with us too here. So Good Stick says Honda started with the Insight, then they had the 8th Gen Civic Hybrid, then they went back with the Insight based on the 9th Gen Civic, now they brought back Civic Hybrid. Yeah, they're all over the place with those. It's really kind of crazy. B. Mitchell says, I still think Ford is going to take the Taurus 500 / wait, that sucks. It's back to being a Taurus thing. And just call your car Mach-E and take the pony off of it. Yeah, I mean, maybe they will just reverse course on Mach-E. I wouldn't be mad about it because, again, I don't like calling it a Mustang either. I always just call it Mach-E, but we will see. Raphael says, I keep wanting to send my car, but I can't get off work long enough for this year's full wheels off detail. All good. I mean, the good thing about cameras is, it looks fine from 5 feet away. So, you can just send it if you feel like it. Doesn't have to be perfect. But I appreciate that, Raphael. But yeah, I'd love to see what you guys have for Member Car of the Week. And B. Mitchell says, at least you're doing your part, not calling Beth Mach-E the M word. Yep, that's it. Trent Carguy says, I have an updated Magnum picture to send you, Matt. Just been distracted with the move and upcoming potential new job. Totally get that. And yeah, no worries. And best of luck with the potential new job there too. And B. Mitchell says, I think what's driving SUVs more than extreme weather is crappy highway maintenance. Already have one bent wheel on the 19 Mustang GT at 60,000 miles, and I feel that I was late to that party. Man, yeah, that is definitely something. It's good that we have, at least around here, they're redoing like all the roads. It's like anywhere you turn there is construction, so hopefully that stuff will be better soon. And Joel says, Matt, am I crazy for hoping that Hyundai starts buying powertrains from Toyota, especially their old hybrids? I think their designs are way better, but forums suggest that their motors are not as reliable. Yeah, Hyundai seems like they're a little more hit or miss. They're definitely not as solid as Toyota in my mind. I think the good thing about Hyundai and Kia is that they put their warranty behind it. Now, some people still say that like sometimes they don't always honor the warranty, or that it's just still a pain to have to bring it in, even if you have a warranty, which I can totally understand and appreciate that. But I think that is the one thing about them that doesn't make them equal with Toyota in my mind, but at least you have that support. And if you don't plan to keep a car more than 10 years, at least you don't have to worry about the powertrain, hopefully for your ownership period. So that's the only thing I guess I could say about those. But yeah, it'd be nice to see, Toyota stuff elsewhere. And I think we're going to see that. There's rumors that the Mazda CX-50 is going to get the RAV4 hybrid setup for a hybrid CX-50. So, other companies doing that, but I don't think Hyundai has any partnerships or wants any partnerships with Toyota. So I feel like that's going to probably, something like that'll never happen, but it'd be cool for sure. And Mike says, Matt, as of now, what do you think will replace the Mach-E with, assuming you won't be keeping it? Yeah, we always have to see. It's really going to honestly come down to finances at that point, since we're not going to be shopping until the summer of 2026. It's, I know Beth has said she's interested in the EX30 from Volvo. And we will just have to see. And if the channel doesn't do better, then it'll probably be a used Mazda CX-5. If the channel does better, we'll see. She even has talked about potentially keeping her Mach-E if the numbers shake out to buy out the lease that we have. It's the Ford options plan. It's the whole thing, but it's like a lease. You can buy it out, even though it's not technically a lease. But so she has the option to keep her Mach-E, or we can walk away from it if the equity still is so upside down like it is currently, with those just plummeting in value. But if it makes sense to buy it, or to buy another one that's cheaper, but buy another 2022 Mach-E on the used market or something, that could be a potential, because she really does like the car enough. And she usually likes, leasing a car and having a new thing every 3 years. And I think she'd still prefer that, but I think she likes this one enough. She's like, yeah, I'd actually keep it beyond that period if we need to, because she really likes it. So we may keep it. We'll have to just see what happens. Anything's possible. Who knows? Maybe in 2 years, everything will be super good, and we can get her something really fun and awesome. We'll see. But yeah, just to be determined. And Rafi says, I watch some reviews on TV, not all the time, but it's nice when I'm home. Okay, so that's cool. And I see BS says, your videos look good on my 75-inch Sony TV. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for the feedback. That is good to know that the 1080p videos scale up okay on a 75-incher, because we don't have a TV that big here. So that's I wouldn't have been able to test that. So thank you for the feedback, BS. I appreciate that. And Gotham Rocker says, I keep cars a long time. I love cars, but they're depreciating assets. Makes sense to keep cars a long time. In my fleet of cars, my newest car is my 2017 Continental, already 7 years old. That's crazy how time is flying. Those Continentals still seem pretty fresh to me, but yeah, they've been around a while here. And Hyper Shadow says, I've seen some of your videos on my TV. I don't see anything wrong. Personally, I can't even tell you're switching between your different cameras. I say don't stress so much about the cameras. Awesome. I appreciate that. Yeah. maybe I don't have to worry about it then. That's good to hear. I appreciate that, guys. So Sean says, since Chevy is discontinuing the Malibu, they should introduce an EV sedan called the Chevelle. Make at least one trim economical and the other performance-based. I'd love to see that. It sounds like Chevy may be kicking around the idea of the Camaro being a four-door performance sedan, though. But I agree. Like, if you're not going to, I think Camaro should stay two doors. If you want to make it electric, that's fine. Go with the times, whatever. But like, that should stay to me a two-door. And then Chevelle, yeah, it would be perfect. They have so many good names. All these companies have so many awesome historical names that are, would be fresh to a new generation, would be cool still, that I think would be great. And so totally agree. I think EV sedan called Chevelle sounds great to me. I wish they would do that. And Raphael says, I absolutely love my job. I'm an IT administrator, but it's stressful. Gotcha. I'm glad you love it, though. I think that makes it all worth it. So good to hear that you're enjoying it. Joel says, Matt, is there a reason why Honda Civics have their high beams on most of the time? Also, why do most Ultima drivers drive their cars like Ferraris? I mean, the Ultima thing is just, that famous big Ultima energy they got. They're just in another dimension there with those drivers. But and Civics, I don't know. I actually don't think I've seen a Civic with their high beams on, so that might be a regional thing more so than a Civic thing. I don't know, but yeah, haven't seen any Civics blasting me with high beams in my memory. And Marco says, I'll look into the Mazda 3. I never even considered that. Thanks. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it might be a little more sedate than what you're going for, but yeah, I think they're cool cars. And Stratus says, hey, Matt, did you see? Okay, I was just talking about, John Cena trading his Type R in. Yeah, I think there was a podcast he was on where he was talking about, I don't know why he said he was into the Type R, because he also had like the Ford GT and stuff. But I think the Type R, he was just like, yeah, like it's just fun. And I don't know why he ever got turned on to Type Rs, but yeah, I saw that. It's awesome he was able to upgrade there. Raphael says I'd walk to Canada to drive an LFA. Okay, yes, I guess I'm showing off my privilege here with the opportunities. Yeah, so I'm hoping someday to make that happen for sure. And B. Mitchell says, as far as going to Canada, can you cross the border with a press fleet car? No, not able to. So I would have to fly, or I don't even think I can do it with a rental car. Maybe I could with a rental if you do a rider or something. I'm not sure, but I don't even know if my car insurance, because I have a rider that covers like non-owned vehicles. I don't know if that extends into Canada. I'd have to check all these things. That's another hurdle here. I mean, I'd love to visit Canada. I went to Montreal a few years back and loved it. And yeah, I really would love to do more trips to Canada for sure. I'm actually jealous. There's a media drive coming up that's actually happening in Quebec, and I wasn't invited on it, but I was like, man, like that would have been so cool because I've been itching to get back to Canada. But Michelle says, seen any 2025 Camrys in your area yet? I saw a couple today. I think it's a nice evolution from the previous gen. I haven't seen any on the roads yet. No, my brother-in-law is a Toyota salesman. He just sold, I think, his first one this week to somebody. So they're coming into dealers, but I haven't seen any yet here. Sean says a Volvo C30 T5, what is essentially a European Focus RS that we never got in the States, will be hard to find or still pretty cheap as they haven't been discovered yet by non-enthusiasts. Interesting. I didn't know were those cheap enough or old enough you can import those? That's interesting. But that's cool. Yeah. I mean, those little Volvos, because the C30, I mean, they sold the regular C30 here, but to me, that was just, I thought those are only front-wheel drive, and they were, they had a manual for like 1 year or something, right? I can't remember. I don't know much about them. Someone I think offered me a C30 a while back, and I'd like to review it someday, but I haven't had a chance. I think they're a little further away. But C30, I agree, it was a cool car. I know whenever I used to work at the car dealerships when I was a teenager, we got one in, and I took it for a quick little drive. It was a cool idea. I just think it was just like it had an automatic and wasn't super exciting to me. But then I saw they did have manuals, and I was unaware of that until recently. But yeah, could be a cool choice there. And let me see. B. Mitchell says Signet was EU only and marketed as a city car, to wit, getting into downtown instead of a DB9. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So it was EU only. Okay. Good to know. Yeah. Those are cool though. Cool little things in my mind. Good Six says they sold it in the US though. It's based on the Toyota there. Yeah, I agree. It's probably the most reliable one for sure. And Raphael says, showing my age, but I want a DB7. DB7 would be amazing. I mean, I wouldn't say no to any Aston. I don't think there's a single Aston that I wouldn't take. I mean, there's many that I wouldn't buy, myself, but I love most of them. And FR8 says, I did it. Longtime fan, finally a member. Don't change anything on your videos, Matt. Maybe add a 360 cam. I do TikTok short films. Your stuff is clean, great voiceover and transitions. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And thanks for your support as well. But that's cool. I appreciate that. If you have any other tips, though, it sounds like you have some experience with film and stuff. So I'm always open to any constructive criticism or feedback is always welcome. But thank you for the support. And I will see if there's any other questions you have. I'll be able to answer those for you if you've been ever wanting to ask anything else. The Trent Car Guy says, funny thing about the Signet, Aston made a one-off of the V8 for the Vantage, from the Vantage. Yeah. Was that an actual Aston thing, or was that I didn't know if that was like a tuner or somebody, but I think, I remember they did that just for laughs. Cause they put it in Forza or something. I remember like seeing like video game footage of one of those things, like popping a wheelie. That was wild. And Austin says Hoovy has pivoted more to newer car reviews and thirst trap videos with his new girlfriend. He still buys a few hoopties, but it's not the same, sadly. Interesting. Yeah, I don't follow him, so I had no clue. All right. Well, I guess the appeal of new car reviews, I don't know why, because everyone's doing new car reviews. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's maybe the views, but you would think he's getting better views on the hoopties than on the new car reviews, maybe, but I guess not. I'll have to see what he's up to. But interesting. And Good Stick says they made the one off there. Okay. And B. Mitchell says, don't see Dodge going there. Remember how that Charger ended up. That's true with a bullet. Yeah. Just burst into flames. Spoiler alert. So yeah, that is a good point, but it'll still be fun. I can dream, right? Anyway, I apologize. I missed the other super chats here, and then I do have to get going soon, so I will try and wrap it up here soon. But Jordan, thank you for a super chat. He says, future Ford Taurus EV versus Lucid Dream Edition. I mean, it depends on what Ford does, but I feel like it's going to be hard to one up the Lucid. I still feel like Lucid would probably be the more appealing vehicle, most likely. And Vic, thank you for a super chat as well. He says, Mach-E to ID Buzz. Beth is not into minivans, even though our daughter, we just had a Pacifica plug-in hybrid, actually, and I'll be posting a review of that, I think probably in August or maybe July. But yeah, our daughter loved the van. She was so sad to see that one go. But I don't think that'll be enough to convince Beth to be up for an ID Buzz. I'm not in love with Volkswagen, their interiors and stuff, so it'd be a hard sell for me too, I think. If the deal was right, maybe, because I do love the colors that come in and stuff, but I don't know if Beth would go for that. It's also probably too tall to fit in our garage, honestly. So that'd be kind of a deal breaker too, because our garage is really low. So, but I'm so excited for that vehicle though, in general. I hope it does well for them. I hope people actually put their money where their mouth is, because everyone's been talking about a new bus forever, and it's going to finally be here in the fourth quarter, they say. And I hope people actually respond by, actually buying them. We'll see. And Sean, thank you for another super chat. He says, what I meant about the Volvos, we got it in the States, is mechanically identical to the RS that we didn't get. Gotcha. It's really identical to an RS. I never knew that. Huh. Well, thank you. I learned something new today. That's cool. I'll have to look into those more. That somehow has flown over my head for decades, and I'll have to check that out. Thanks for the info. C30T5. All right, sweet. Thank you, Sean. And sorry for needing the clarification there, but cool. Yeah, I'm going to have to look into that. And let me see here. Austin says, your favorite YouTuber, Doug, did a review of the Signet. All right, interesting. Won't be watching, but good to know that he did one. I remember even, Shmi's coverage of those back in the day, and it was so much fun. And Truck and Car Guy says, if they haven't made a Fast and Furious Edition Charger yet, I doubt to do a bullet charger. Fair enough. Good point. That's true. And Jordan says, burnouts in pedestrian racing is ending. Solar, water, and EV is the future. Yeah, I mean, we will see, which direction everything heads. It's just going to come down. I mean, I think there's definitely big expansion in solar, hydro, and all that stuff. So we will see. As far as the burnouts and things like that coming to an end, I think there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna hang on to that for a long time. I think there's something very just kind of, I guess, childish I'm not saying that in a bad way, but in a good way. That I think really, making smoke is a very like primal kind of thing. I think it's there's like, it's almost like we're wired for that. I mean, with fire and I mean, just that whole component, I feel like kind of ties into burnouts. So I think that's why you'll see burnouts continue to be popular, among at least a small faction of people for a long time to come. But let me see. Hyper Shadow says, Matthew, Maran, Elias. By the time you read this, hopefully you'll be caught up or catching up with your comments and be ready to log off. So thanks for your time and have an awesome night. I appreciate that, Hyper. And sign off here in a few minutes. Excuse me. Steven says, what are your top dad mobiles? If you were in the market for a minivan, which would you get? Minivans, I honestly really like the Pacifica plug-in hybrid because it actually has like a strong V6, plus it has the efficiency there. And the Pacifica is a really well done van, in my opinion. Sienna's underpowered. Odyssey's outdated. Carnival is appealing, but they screwed up the interior on the current generation, and the new one coming is better. But it's still going to be kind of, I mean, it's just the V6 or the hybrid, which I feel like the hybrid is going to feel underpowered. So to me, like Pacifica is the best one as far as having the V6, having good punch, and having the efficiency. And I think it's also the nicest looking one out of the bunch too. So I'd go Pacifica plug-in hybrid, I think, and you'll hear more thoughts for the 5 of you who are interested in hearing my thoughts on Pacifica plug-in hybrid. That'll be coming, I think, in July. I already filmed that one, but I've kind of put that one on the back burner because, again, not a priority to to race that one out. Again, for the 5 of you that are interested in that. So Austin says Furiosa, it's a Mad Max universe prequel. Interesting. Okay, well, thanks. I'll have to again, I gotta watch all the other ones. But Jay says Hunger Games or Indiana Jones. I have seen 1 or 2 Hunger Games. I don't think I've seen all of them. Indiana Jones is the one I was thinking of earlier. Thank you, Jay, that I have not seen Indiana Jones at all. I'd love to. Brian says life gets busy. Yep, that's it. Zachary says thanks for another fun stream. Join the Discord members. Very true. Thanks, Zachary, for highlighting that. Yes, we do have a Discord. If you're a member and you're interested in Discord stuff, there's a link should be on the member tab on the channel page here to sign up if you want to become or if you want to join the Discord there. It's included in the membership. No extra hoops to jump through. Just click through and sign up, and you can chat. And I pop in there at least once or twice a day to answer any questions. And it's also great for you guys to all chat and discuss things as well. Show off your cars. There's a garage section there to show off your cars there and get people's thoughts on it and all that. So yeah, it's got off to a good start, and I'm hoping we get more and more members here able to join that in the future as well. But Austin says, if I was Ford CEO, I'd bring back the European Fords, even if it wasn't profitable. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we probably want to do that probably wouldn't be profitable, and that's wouldn't make us very good CEOs, but it would be fun for a while it lasted. Mike says, Honda's coming out with an all-wheel drive like Toyota in 2026, 2027. Interesting. I hadn't heard that, but I know they're doing the electric stuff around that time, but for the gas stuff, that makes sense. So I don't know why it's taking them that long, but yeah, glad to see that they may be catching up someday. Truck and Car Guy says, may be biased, but I would take Mitsubishi, take over Mitsubishi so I can bring back the Lancer and the Evo and bring back the Eclipse as it should have been and rename that stupid crossover. That's true. Mitsubishi would be another one. Again, if your hands are tied with funding and stuff, it wouldn't be very fun. But if you actually had money to invest in a new lineup for Mitsubishi, that would be that I could get behind that. Yeah, bring back the Evo, Eclipse, 3000 GT, and really get them to an exciting place, and make top quality stuff in all the other segments too. But Mike agrees about the insanity of the plug-in hybrid CRV not happening. And let me see. Gothrocker also agrees about the cameras being okay quality. Okay, well, that is good to hear. Well, then maybe I will stick with the cameras then. I appreciate the feedback on that, everyone. And Brian agrees with the Camaro staying two-door. Goth Rocker says, I agree. Honda not having all-wheel drive on the new Accord is a big mistake. I look forward to Mazda making a new 6 sedan with all-wheel drive and the inline 6. Hopefully that happens. I agree. That would be awesome. Mike says, hey, Matt, random question, but Tacoma sales are way down, 25,000 in Q1. Any thoughts? They usually sell around 220 to 250 a year, I think. So, Q1, they also were just starting to ramp up. I mean, I got my first Tacoma press vehicle, which is early pre-production press vehicle. I mean, that vehicle was not even remotely close to production quality levels. And I got that, I think, in February, maybe. So, I mean, their Tacomas are coming out, but they're not flooding the lots yet. So I think there's that. And they also were trying to unload the old ones. And I think that, made it like everyone was aware of the new ones, so no one wanted the old one anymore, aside from the people that wanted the proven old stuff. But, so I think, again, it's kind of just a transition period for them as they ramp up. And, I mean, even Hybrid Max stuff, like usually a lot of the Tacoma sales were TRD Pros, and they had no TRD Pro in Q1. TRD Pro is, now just coming in for Q2. And so I think that you will see, it'll certainly grow, I think, more as they get all of the rest of the lineup out there and actually start to trend them out in better numbers. If by Q2 it's still down, then that would make me, I mean, you still have some, I'd probably say wait until towards the end of this year to see once they have a good amount of TRD Pros on the lot and stuff, then, see if people are actually rejecting new Tacoma or not. But I feel like they're still just kind of, you gotta give them a little bit more time to ramp up that production there. And Joel says, you can do a drive to Canada with a rental. A group of friends of mine did it right before COVID broke. Interesting. Okay. Well, that's good to know. Thanks, Joel. Yeah, because that's probably what I'll have to do for a long trip like that, is either fly or just rent a car, because obviously I don't have a car of my own now to just drive to Canada in. So that'll be the way to do it. And all right, we're almost caught up here. Mike says, Matt, would you consider an ID7 depending on price? I know it probably gets EV lease credits and will come eventually. European review said it feels better than the Model S. ID7 seems cool to me. Again, I'm not in love with the interior. It's not bad though. I like that there's a little screen and all that. It depends on the deal, but I think if I was shopping for an electric sedan, I'd just get an Ioniq 6 right now. They're stupid cheap leases. I'm already so tempted just to pick up an Ioniq 6 because it feels like it's like a free car, basically. I mean, it's only a 24-month lease, but I think right now it's $189 a month with $2,000 down. And if you don't want to put the $2,000 down, it'd still be probably low 200s. I mean, that is obviously insurance rates will probably be high since it's an EV. But if insurance isn't crazy on it, I mean, what can you get for $200 a month? I feel like that's so cheap for such a good like $45,000 car. So yeah, it's almost one of those things. Like I'm not ruling out the idea. Like if this summer, like I want a car for some reason, just to like have a backup transportation thing. Like it's so cheap with Ioniq 6 that it almost is cheaper than me Ubering to the airport, which is what I now have to do since I don't have a car to drive most of the time, because I'm always having to swap press vehicles while I'm away on a trip. So I can't take them to the airport. So like, recently I've been just Ubering to the airport, and it's almost like with how expensive it is to Uber to the airport, it's almost cheaper to just get an Ioniq 6 lease. It may, I mean, we will see, but if it gets to the point where I do, enough travel, I mean, you got to pay to park at the airport, but it's almost not much more expensive just to pick up an Ioniq 6 just for laughs. So that would be my pick, I think, if I was getting something like that. I appreciate Jordan says everyone liked this video. I appreciate that, Jordan, and thank you for the super chat. Goth Rocker says my Aston Martin would be the DBS. When the lottery gets really high, I play and I go on Aston Martin site and do my build. You and me both with the DBS. I saw one a week ago, and man, I hardly ever see DBSs in person, and that just sent me. I was like over the moon about that. Like I was like drooling over that car. It was like a baby blue color too. It was so nice. Trent Car Guy says Pacifica is basically a modern version of my Magnum's 3.5 liter V6. Yeah, it's just those tried and true motors. And let me see. B. Mitchell says, time to turn that Yingling into high quality urine. See you next week. I appreciate this. What I was drinking was actually iced coffee because, again, an exhausted dad all the time. But yeah, thanks to Mitchell. Goth Rocker says I test drove the Super Duper X again. There's something neat about those cars, really fun. Also, the Lincoln Nautilus is impressive. I'm not an SUV fan, but it's really nice and well done. Yeah, I'll have a Nautilus here next month to review, and that one probably won't get posted till August as well because of my backlog right now. But I'll be posting a Nautilus review eventually. Probably won't have many views on that one, but it was one I was curious about doing for myself, so that's why I took it. But WRX is a really solid car for the money. 30 grand or so for those for the base one is I think a really strong value for what you get. And Trent Cargus says, have a good week, everyone. Likewise, yeah, we went 2.5 hours here. So thank you all so much. Though time flies when you're having fun. Hope you guys had a great time as well here. Hope you have a great Memorial Day tomorrow for those of you here in America, and for everyone, hope you have a great week here. And I'll see you guys next week for the next one. But until then, take care. Have a great week. And I got some more good reviews coming here this week, so stay tuned for those. Thanks, and see you guys on the next one.